I have a Planetary system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76. War begins. All the players charged at millions of Xingpeng tribesmen like a group of idiots. The dozens of Xingpeng tribesmen at the overlord level standing in the front looked at the surging enemy with ferocious eyes, made sharp cries, and flew up first. Although the player camp was stupid, it was still reliable in terms of battle obedience. After all, they were battle hardened. The hundreds of gangs in the player camp tacitly divided the dozens of overlord bosses, and the rest of the ordinary bosses and elite boss level Xingpeng tribes were left to individual players to deal with. Under normal circumstances, the second level players of the national server could kill ordinary bosses of the same level in a single duel, but elite bosses of the same level would require 2 to 3 people to kill. The players used their own professional mechanisms in a tacit understanding, each performing their own duties. Akela and Armada too were at the forefront, taking drugs while using the sharp claws of the Xingpeng tribe. After the front rows of both sides fought together, Shadow Killer and Holy Sword inserted themselves into the enemy camp to start indiscriminate output, trying to output as much as possible before the enemy's health was low, taking drugs while receiving the healing of Holy Healing, and the superposition of the Dharmada 2 status to burst out a lot of damage in a short period of time. The 3 professions of Void, Omniscience, and Endless were the simplest. They only needed to ensure the quality of output and ignore everything else. After throwing out all the group attack skills in their hands, use output skills, smash them all, then use limiting skills, and finally Holy Healing, which is the easiest, but also the most challenging. On the one hand, you need to bless the blood volume of teammates with different blood volume in the team, and on the other hand, you need to ensure the blue volume. In this kind of battle, if you are not careful and the blue volume reaches the bottom, the front row of the team can be killed instantly. Once the deaths in the front row accumulate, the back row will be melted immediately. Therefore, Holy Healing repeatedly tells other professions in the team, except the front row, to take drugs as much as possible, and consciously return to the back row to recover when the blood is left. The first thing you have to ensure is the blood volume of Akela, and other professions are on their own. Most of the gangs participating in the battle in the player camp have basically been upgraded to level 3. A level 1 gang can have 100 members, a level 2 gang can have 500 members, and a level 3 gang can have 1000 members. Each upgrade draws the corresponding soul value and materials as well as gang contribution. The contribution requires gang members to complete gang tasks or kill corresponding monsters. The higher the level and strength of the monster, the higher the contribution. A high-level creature of the Xingpeng tribe was knocked down first by the concerted efforts of 4 gangs at the cost of 3,000 players' deaths. They lost a quarter of their combat power before they dealt with the first overlord level boss. Under normal circumstances, an overlord level boss of the same level can be killed by 1 gang, and there would not be too many casualties if the cooperation is good. However, this battle is not only about the overlord boss, but also thousands of other boss enemies around who are constantly harassing. If the players were not afraid of death, and did not turn back until they hit the wall, they would probably have given up after a while. Seeing a high-level creature of their own race killed, many creatures of the Xingpeng tribe couldn't believe it. They put away their original contempt and carefully examined the group of desperate enemies in front of them. It was undoubtedly a heavy price to kill a high-level creature at the cost of thousands of their own people. However, there was no trace of tragedy or retreat on the faces of these humans in front of them. They had no perception of the tragic death of their own people, and still had the same momentum of fighting to the death, and refused to retreat even a single step. It was obvious that the combat power of their own race was stronger than theirs, but they were beaten back for a distance. This is not the case with the ordinary boss and elite boss of the Xingpeng tribe. The overlord boss of the tribe felt threatened when he saw his comrades being killed. The group of guys who were besieging them really had no mercy when they saw the death of their own people. At first, he thought that these guys were fighting recklessly, but now he knows that they are really capable of killing him. Even when he is about to die, they will not care and will swing their weapons to find ways to hurt him. These behaviors make the Xingpeng tribe wonder if they had a grudge with this group of humans before. Otherwise, what kind of grudge could make them risk their lives to this extent? In the player camp, the players were immediately depressed when they saw that it was not their side that got the first kill of the Overlord boss. Why wasn't their side the first kill? Seeing that the team that succeeded in the first kill in the world channel was constantly mocking other gangs, many gang leaders immediately gave death orders to members of each gang. You bunch of old men are being mocked by others. Do you still have any face? Hurry up and do it for me. The contribution value of an overlord shared by several gangs is not much, and now those beasts are coming to grab the kills in minutes. Brothers, take your time. I'll help you when I'm done. No, 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 damn it. When you're done, go join the individual players and don't come over to make trouble. No, 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 no way. How can we abandon our teammates? Liang Ting's face suddenly darkened when she saw that the first gang to get the first kill was not her own cabinet. It was unacceptable that her gang, as the first gang established in the national server, could not get a first kill. Abusing his power, he sent a message on the command channel. Members of the cabinet, hurry up. Deputy gang leader, can you please beat him to death? If someone else steals the head, I will deduct your gang bonus for this month. The gangs that were afraid of being robbed were even more desperate to fight the Overlord boss to death. Within half an hour, 10 high-level creatures of the Xingpeng tribe were killed at the cost of tens of thousands of gang members. The remaining dozen or so high-level creatures of the Xingpeng tribe finally realized the situation. This group of lunatics were really not afraid of casualties. They were completely willing to exchange their lives for casualties of their own race. The high-level creatures who had the idea of retreating chose to retreat and fight guerrilla warfare. Liang Ting immediately noticed this situation while examining the overall situation and immediately issued a command. All gangs that have completed the kill should immediately help nearby gangs to hold back the Overlord boss and don't let them run away. In addition to holy healing, all remote players should attack the Overlord boss nearby and kill them in the shortest time. The Xingpeng clan high-level creatures who were thinking of retreating found that the firepower they faced was even more intense. Several high-level creatures with serious injuries transformed into wings and flew up to the sky to get away. However, many holy swords and shadow kills appeared on their heads and smashed down on them, forcing them down. After flapping their wings and killing many human beings, they found that more desperate players did the same. In just half an hour, only 7 seriously injured high-level creatures of the Xingpeng clan escaped, and the rest were killed by the players. The nearly 300,000 gang members of the player camp were almost annihilated, and the price was not too heavy. Looking at the escaped Overlord boss, the players present gnashed their teeth and showed an unwilling look. They were actually let by the opponent to escape, which was embarrassing. The battle lasted for a night. At this time, the player camp had lost 1/3 of its people, and the Xingpeng tribe had also lost 1/5 of its people. Although they were clearly in an advantageous position, the Xingpeng tribe felt that they could not win. The enemies on the opposite side were too unreasonable. They sacrificed 1/3 of their people, but were still so desperate. Could they leave some room for retreat? Why are you so impulsive? Can you be reasonable? There is no hatred between our two races. Chapter 77. First Battle Victory. Fu Kai and Peng Xin, who were confronting each other in the distance, were watching the war between the two tribes. After seeing the human race desperately besieging the higher creatures of the Xingpeng tribe and successfully killing them, Peng Xin showed a sharp look. Fu Kai felt distressed in his heart, but on the surface he smiled evilly and sneered. After 100 years of development, using Peng tribe are still as useless as before. Peng Xin looked at Fu Kai and said calmly, "It took this kind of sacrifice to drag down one of our higher creatures. Defeat is sooner or later." Fu Kai knew that Peng Xin was telling the truth and said insincerely, "So what? The sacrifice of the human race has nothing to do with me. It would be best if both sides suffer losses. After the human race dies, your tribe will not be much better off." Peng Xin stared at Fu Kai. "For your hatred, you use the lives of the creatures of an entire race as the price. It seems that 100 years of sealing still cannot change your evil." Fu Kai showed a ferocious expression. "Evil? Isn't that thanks to you, the Xingpeng tribe? Don't forget, my parents died at the hands of your race. Peng Xin continued to watch the war in the distance without saying a word. As night fell, Peng Xin could no longer sit still when he saw that the human race's desperate fighting style had left only 7 high-level creatures of the Xingpeng tribe escaping. The momentum of his own race had already been defeated. Obviously, the number of human races was much less than that of the Xingpeng tribe, so why could they still be so fearless? Fu Kai also felt the situation on the battlefield. At this moment, his heart was very touched. A race that had no intersection with him could help him to such an extent for his own revenge without any reason, and was willing to sacrifice the future of his race. This made Fu Kai, who had always been alone, feel distressed. The habit of his own blood spirit race was to feed on the flesh and blood of all races. Because of this habit, all races disliked it. No race was willing to accept, or even get close to him, but only this human race, a war-loving human race. What virtue and ability did he have to make them do this for him? Peng Xin put down his hands and prepared to rush to the battlefield to help his own race. If he continued like this, even if he won, he would be seriously injured. He couldn't go on like this. Fu Kai saw what Peng Xin was thinking. Although he felt distressed, he had to say that he felt relieved. He also put down his hands and smiled evilly. Don't dream. You know I won't let you go. Just watch your people die one by one. Peng Xin rarely showed an angry expression. You are looking for death. A pair of huge wings appeared on Peng Xin's back, and his hands turned into a pair of sharp claws. The claws were vaguely surrounded by wind element. Fu Kai's momentum also surged, and his hands were steaming and holding Peng Xin. The two rushed towards each other at the same time, and the distance of hundreds of meters collided in an instant. The violent fluctuations lifted the trees underground and revealed a huge open space. One of Peng Xin's claws pierced into Fu Kai's stomach, and the wrist of the other hand was grabbed by Fu Kai. Fu Kai's free hand grabbed the wrist of the claw in front of his stomach, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Peng Xin evilly. Peng Xin looked at Fu Kai in disbelief. He could have avoided it, so why did he have to endure his claw? Feeling that his claws could not move, he saw Fu Kai's evil smile, and his face changed. He tried to break free. At this time, his claws and wrists were gradually burned by the heat. Every struggle was extremely uncomfortable because of the heat. Fu Kai looked at Peng Xin, who could not move, and showed a cruel smile. He ignored the tearing pain in his stomach and opened his mouth to bite Peng Xin's neck. His sharp teeth pierced the skin on his neck. A stream of fresh blood flowed into Fu Kai's mouth. Fu Kai, who had not eaten flesh and blood for 100 years, tasted the taste of the gods and his eyes were shining. He ate the flesh and blood on Peng Xin's neck in big mouthfuls. The piercing pain made Peng Xin scream violently. The wings on his back swelled up and stabbed into Fu Kai's chest. Fu Kai felt threatened and knew that if the wings pierced his heart, he would definitely be seriously injured if not dead. He loosened his hands and tore out a piece of flesh and blood on his neck and retreated to a safe distance, chewing the flesh of the gods in his mouth and the dark blood constantly flowing out of his stomach. Fu Kai seemed to have no feeling at all and looked at Peng Xin with a ferocious look, ready to make a move. Peng Xin pressed the missing flesh on his neck with his hands, and blood kept flowing out from his fingers. He kept spitting out large mouthfuls of blood from his mouth, and he felt terrified when he saw the ferocious Fu Kai. After chewing and swallowing the flesh, Fu Kai smiled evilly. Peng Xin, you are old, and you don't have the bloodiness of the past. Peng Xin stared at Fu Kai, and Fu Kai continued, but don't worry, after I kill you, I will definitely kill all of your race one by one, and I will make your Xingpeng clan disappear forever in this world of living beings. Peng Xin knew that he couldn't beat Fu Kai at this time. Even though he was stronger than Fu Kai, the other party didn't care at all and dared to fight with him with his life in exchange for his life, but he couldn't do that. He was afraid of death. His ferocious eyes seemed to want to eat Fu Kai, and finally turned around and flapped his wings and left quickly. Fu Kai did not chase because he knew that he could not beat the Xingpeng tribe in terms of speed. The advantage of this race is speed. But it doesn't matter. I can't catch up with you, but I can catch up with your tribesmen. Peng Xin made a sharp cry while flying. The Xingpeng tribe, who were fighting hard with the players on the battlefield, changed their faces after hearing Peng Xin's call, and then chose to retreat as if relieved. One by one, the Xingpeng tribe transformed into peng birds and planned to fly away. The national server players were a little tired after playing all night, thinking about when they could finish the game and go flying to sleep. Suddenly seeing the opponent suddenly withdraw, they didn't want to chase. Many players who were killed by monsters before chose to go offline and not teleport to Fenghua continent. The players were a little entangled at this time. They were afraid that the system would judge the battle as over if they let the opponent run away, but they felt it was too late to chase. After all, they had to be late for work and class the next day. Fukai dragged his injured body to Liangting's side. When the players saw Fukai, they looked at him expectantly. Liangting didn't care about Fukai's injury and asked, "Boss, did we win or lose?" Fukai looked at the human creatures around him whose number had been reduced by half, and sighed, "We won." The players in the national server were immediately disappointed. They won. So is the battle really over? Fukai looked at the lost human creatures and felt sick. What does it mean? Why are you so sad when you won? Liangting tempted Fukai. Then shall we continue to fight? Fukai said, as long as the Xingpeng tribe still exists, and as long as I'm not dead, my revenge will not stop. The players were immediately relieved. Fukai couldn't bear to see the human race sacrifice more. This is my battle. You have helped me enough. I remember this favor. Go away and don't make more sacrifices for me. The players were immediately unhappy. Do you think this is just your business? This is related to the welfare of countless players in our national server. Liangting tried to persuade him kindly. Boss, it's too polite for you to say that. You will hurt our feelings. Fukai felt that he couldn't communicate with the human race with normal thinking. He looked at Liangting with strange eyes. Do you still want to continue fighting with me? Liangting did not reply. The national server players around him nodded collectively. Looking at the human creatures with expectation, Fukai asked the question he wanted to know most. Why are you doing this? I don't believe it's just because your race is warlike. The players didn't know how to answer for a moment. Are they telling you that we want to get it for free? Liangting took a deep breath to build up her emotions and answered emotionally, because we are friends. Fukai was stunned when he heard the word friend. Friend, they actually treat me as a friend. Liangting didn't give Fukai time to think and asked bluntly, boss, when will we continue the attack? Fukai was moved and his mind went blank for a moment, and he subconsciously answered, it's up to you. Liangting said, how about tomorrow afternoon? Fukai reacted, are you sure you still want to help me? Aren't you afraid of being exterminated? The players lost their patience. Are you done yet? No mistake. One poem, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619, one post. You are a grown man. We are not afraid of you. Why should you be afraid? We don't need you to take responsibility. That's really weird. Fukai felt that his kindness was taken for granted. Since you are looking for death, I won't stop you, okay? Don't regret it later. The players breathed a sigh of relief. Liangting said, then we will meet at the same time tomorrow afternoon, boss. Fukai was puzzled. Why tomorrow afternoon? The number of Xingpeng people is now superior to yours. While they are retreating now, we can pursue them. Liangting got the answer she wanted and stopped trying to please. We need to rest. Don't we need to sleep so late? After saying that, she directly activated the return scroll and disappeared. The players activated the return scroll one after another and did not forget to complain in the middle, helping you fight, but not letting you rest. To Warlord. The donkeys in the production team didn't do this. The capitalists were silent after hearing this. Remember tomorrow afternoon, don't sneak up and grab the heads by yourself. If we find you, we will beat you too. Fukai. Chapter 78 King Fu. At noon the next day, after lunch, the players rushed online to wait for the battle to start. It was the first time for the national server players to fight such an intense battle after their second transfer. The first day of battle alone exhausted the players. If they were not used to the battle mechanism and rhythm and knew that this was a game, it is estimated that the players would be exhausted and collapsed. However, the second transfer players of the national server still chose to gather on the second day. There was no other way. They gave too much. The battle on the first day alone allowed most of the second transfer players to exchange for a full set of level 40 gold donor suits. The reason why they continued to participate on the second day was entirely for the sake of the future. The opportunity of such a battle was too difficult. Who knows how much honor value the newly added honor suits will cost in the future. It is the kingly way to plan ahead. The national server players who have not yet transferred to the second level saw the team formation on the world channel and the battle recording on the forum, as well as the exchanged equipment and the exploded equipment. They all expressed their dissatisfaction. Why can only the second transfer players participate? Even if they don't have honor points, mixing sim equipment experience and soul points is also considerable. Now you have eaten the meat, but you don't leave the soup for us. This is a bit too much. Liangting felt a little sorry for the players crying on the world channel and forums. She was indeed a little embarrassed. She finally decided to open the first level players to participate in the battle and teleport 1 hour after the battle started today. Otherwise, it would be a waste of time if the first level players were allowed to participate in the battle at the beginning. If you want to get benefits in the high level battle, you can only wait until the two sides are deadlocked. Anyway, you have to pay for the soul value required for teleportation. If you can afford it and don't feel bad, then you can come. The first level players who received the answer immediately laughed like idiots, and then the national players who had not yet changed their jobs began to feel unbalanced and started a new round of crying. The world channel and forums once again saw players who had not yet changed their jobs begging for help and pity, but this time no one paid attention to them. Just kidding. You are a child who wants to fight with adults. It's good enough if you don't get slapped and thrown against the wall. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Liangting approved the battle application and opened the battle teleportation. The figures of the second level players disappeared in the teleportation light curtain in the center of Jiushan Zuandu. Fukai felt the fluctuations around him and saw a large number of familiar human beings appearing around him. He sighed. You really came. You chose to help me, even though you knew you couldn't win. Although this group of creatures is a bit crazy and a little disrespectful to me, they are really determined and leave no room for me. It seems that they really regard me as a friend. It's ridiculous for a group of creatures to be friends with a god like me. He stood up and looked at the friends who might die on the battlefield. Fukai wanted to remember them one by one, but the more he looked, the more something was wrong. Why are some faces so familiar? Didn't these people die yesterday? And what's the matter with the number? Wasn't there only half of the creatures of the race left yesterday? Why are there so many now? What's going on? Am I hallucinating? Or is my injury getting worse and my eyesight is not clear? Liangting walked up to Fukai and said, "Boss, let's hurry up and get going. Which way are we going?" Fukai looked at the extra humans and asked, "Why are there so many of you today? And why do some of them look so familiar to me? Didn't they die yesterday?" Liangting said perfunctorily, "Oh, they heard that we lost a fight with others yesterday and were almost bullied, so they said they wanted to come over to help. Those you are familiar with are the twins of yesterday's group of people." Fukai felt that his IQ was insulted, but he didn't know how to refute it for a while. It can't be that they will be resurrected after death. Are you kidding? How can there be a resurrected race? But your race is too ridiculous. Just because you can't win, you pull people over to continue fighting? Are you really so fierce and not afraid of death? This is a war. This is a life and death struggle. Liangting saw the dazed Fukai and hurriedly urged him. There was no way not to be anxious. There would be a large wave of hooligans coming in an hour. You have to race against time to grab heads. Fukai no longer wanted to pay attention to this group of humans. Now Fukai's impression of the human race was that these guys were a group of irrational, retarded people who would fight at the slightest disagreement and were not afraid of death. It was a miracle that they had not been exterminated until now. That direction is the concentrated habitat of the Xingpeng tribe. Your attack direction is that direction. However, I remind you that the Xingpeng tribe must have set up an ambush. You should be careful. I have to be on guard against the gods of their race. So I can't help you. You can do whatever you want. Fukai stopped trying to persuade them. It was useless to say more. He couldn't persuade them anyway. Liangting sent a message on the command channel. Everyone hurry up. Someone will come to grab the head in an hour. Everyone mount up. and hurry as fast as possible. Shadow Killer and Infinity Blade start sprinting to clear the way. Remove the traps. If you see them, leave a mark. If you can't remove them, hurry up. Get going. The players were already eager to move, and now after hearing the order, they immediately summoned their mounts and ran like mad dogs. Fukai saw that the human army could still transform into mounts today, and all kinds of strange mounts appeared in front of him like a zoo, which deepened his impression of the human race's neurosis. How could a race choose these creatures as mounts? Wolves and bears are normal, but there are ostriches, antelopes, and a mount that looks very mentally retarded and can't tell what creature it is. Silly roe deer. I don't want to talk. I'm tired. Fukai flew over the players and flew to the concentrated habitat of the Xingpeng tribe. This time I'm going to slaughter all of you Xingpeng people. Pengzin sat on the largest ancient tree in the center of the habitat, feeling the attack from Fukai and the human race from afar. Through the breath, Pengzin knew that the number of human race was actually greater, and his face showed an ugly look. Next to Pengzin stood a young man in colorful feather clothes. The young man asked, "Lord Pengzin, is the evil spirit here?" Pengzin touched a large scar on his neck and said, "It has come, and there are more creatures from the race that came yesterday." The young Peng bird showed hatred, and Pengzin continued, "King Fu, you are the tribe leader I appointed. In this war, as long as you slaughter all these humans, the opposition voices in the tribe will completely disappear. I hope you won't let me down." King Fu replied respectfully, "I know, Lord Pengzin, but your injury." Pengzin stared at the sky in the distance and responded, "Now I really don't have the strength to fight with Fukai, but sometimes, it is not necessary to kill the enemy through fighting." King Fu seemed to know what Pengzin was thinking. If that's the case, then this evil spirit will never come back. Pengzin, unfortunately, the price is a bit high. King Fu, don't worry, Master Pengzin, our crossing Peng clan will definitely be the only race in Fenghua continent in the future. Chapter 79, The Scorpion Tribe Joins the War. Fukai flew to the concentrated habitat of the Xingpeng tribe, and with a scan of his mind he found the location of Pengzin. Looking at the huge ancient tree, Pengzin was looking at him thoughtfully. Fukai smiled evilly, "I was afraid that you would run away." Pengzin said to King Fu, "Go ahead." King Fu glanced at Fukai and his blood boiled. Facing the malice of a god, even though he was already at the peak of a higher creature, he still couldn't help trembling slightly. After hearing Pengzin's words, he turned around and flew away. Fukai ignored King Fu who was leaving, and stared at Pengzin. "This time I will tear you apart completely, and I will make the Xingpeng tribe disappear completely from now on." Pengzin showed a confident smile. "I have to admit that, although you have been sealed for 100 years, you are stronger than before the seal. I'm indeed not your opponent. What a pity." Fukai licked his lips and waited for Pengzin's last words. Pengzin showed a rare ferocious expression and continued, "It's a pity that you are still as stupid as 100 years ago. Have you forgotten that there are gods of other races in the Weathering continent?" Fukai immediately became wary after hearing this, but before he could react, a fast black strip suddenly rushed out from the ground. Fukai was pierced through the shoulder by the sudden attack. A closer look showed that it was a black tail with a hard shell. The tail automatically pulled out from Fukai's shoulder and shortened back to the ground. Fukai held his injured shoulder and stared at the ground. A figure wrapped in a black cloak also looked up at Fukai, and a wicked smile could be vaguely seen on the black shadow's face. Brown Valley. Fukai trembled with anger. At this time, the players in the national server who participated in the battle received a system notification at the same time. The battle has changed. Since the Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe have joined forces, the players participating in this battle need to fight against two high-level races at the same time. The battle mission is issued to assist the god Fukai to escape from the Xingpeng tribe god Pengzin and the poisonous scorpion tribe god Hegu, or to assist Fukai in defeating the Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe. The players immediately knew that the poisonous scorpion tribe had joined the battle, and after seeing the content of the battle mission, they guessed that Fukai was being besieged by the gods of the two races at this time. The always naughty national server players immediately felt a sense of crisis. It didn't matter if they were idle. After all, the players could afford to be idle, but Fukai couldn't afford to be idle. No, they had to hurry up. All the players in the national server tacitly accelerated to the Xingpeng tribe's emergency habitat at the same time. At this time, a large area of soil suddenly bulged on the road where the large group of players was marching. In an instant, countless large black scorpions emerged from the ground where the players were located. More than 1 million scorpions transformed into humanoid creatures with black armor. At the same time, more than 1 million peng birds appeared in the sky and landed on the trees above the players' heads. Liangting saw this lineup and knew that the players could not beat it anyway. Although the players could revive infinitely, the current task was not to fight against the two tribes, but to rescue Fukai. The players were not afraid of dragging him down, but they were afraid that they would not be able to break through the encirclement of the opposite side in a short time. The Xingpeng tribe dispatched the top combat forces of the entire tribe in this battle. More than 1 million of them were all elite boss level, including the 7 overlord bosses who escaped yesterday, and the more than 1 million combat forces of the poisonous scorpion tribe were also elite boss level, including 5 overlord level bosses. The Xingpeng tribe and the poison scorpion tribe launched attacks from the sky and underground at the same time without giving the players any time to think. Millions of second level players in the national server were caught off guard, and many fragile players were melted and killed in an instant. Liangting hurriedly commanded, Akalanatha will hold the opponent back to give the main force time to retreat, and all other players will withdraw from the enemy's attack range and stand in formation before counter-attacking. Fortunately, the players on the scene have also seen the world. Through many battles, they know that fighting alone will only lead to slaughter. After hearing the command, all the players, except Akalanatha, turned back and retreated. Liangting knew the importance of time. It was impossible to rely on defeating the two races in front of her to rescue Fukai. The only feasible way was to exchange injuries for injuries, and lives for lives, and rush forward by killing 1,000 enemies, and injuring 2,000 of their own. However, these operations require standing in formation to be realized, so at this time, the players can only retreat to a certain position before counter-attacking. At the same time, Liangting also set up the campaign system so that first level players can be teleported to the front line at any time. It doesn't matter if they send heads. First level players estimated that there would be more than 4 million people participating in this campaign. Liangting was not sure about commanding such a large campaign for the first time, so she tried her best. The first level players in Jiushan Zuandu who were preparing to participate in the campaign suddenly received a campaign reminder. Strange, isn't it time yet? Without thinking too much, they all chose to teleport. The soul value was so high, which was heartbreaking. The first level players who arrived at the teleportation point of the weathered continent immediately received the campaign mission. After seeing the above content and Liangting's words in the command channel, they were stunned for a moment. Is the mission so severe? Most of the first level players were excited. They were all newcomers who had never participated in such a campaign. Although their levels were in the middle, they still lacked the consciousness of listening to commands. Fortunately, the captains of each team were old people and set off to the coordinates sent by the commander at the first time. At the border of the weathered continent, the second level players were struggling to resist the retreat on the front line, and the first level players quickly moved forward to support. The Xingpeng and Poison Scorpion races saw the retreating humans and rushed to chase them immediately. The second level Akala used his life to hold back the enemies who wanted to chase him. He used taunts, sword energy, binding, group binding and other skills to force aggro. Without the blood adding effects of holy healing and armor image, he could only rely on drugs and his own defense enhancing skills to support himself. The players in the back row sat on their mounts and ran desperately. The 4 fragile professions of holy healing, omniscience, void, and infinity would not run wildly regardless of the screams behind them, because it was useless to turn around. They could not help, and had to sacrifice themselves. The players could not afford the 1-hour resurrection online CD. Holy sword and armor image provided cover at the back. Once the opponent caught up, these 2 professions would use their lives to hold back, and Shadow Killer had no capital to hold back the enemy. Although the damage burst was high, it was too fragile. They threw high-level traps on the ground to limit the enemy's speed. King Fu, the leader of the Xingpeng tribe, and Huazi, the leader of the Poison Scorpion tribe, were also chasing. However, since they thought they were sure to win, they did not use all their strength to chase. They chatted while running. Huazi said in a cold voice, after this battle, remember the promise of your Xingpeng tribe. King Fu responded expressionlessly, our tribe will not break the oath, but your poison scorpion tribe's plan to swallow up the red fox tribe's territory in 10 years is undoubtedly a fantasy. Flower scorpion, we don't plan to swallow you up. We'll just nibble away at you step by step. You just need to guard the border between your Xingpeng tribe and the red fox tribe, and don't let them cross it. King Fu glanced at him, don't choke yourself to death. Although the red fox is the weakest of our 3 races, the other side also has gods after all. Flower scorpion, you don't have to worry about that. Liang Ting led the large army to run quickly for 10 minutes, narrowed her eyes at the symbol displayed on the command map, and issued an order on the command channel. Whether they can counterattack this time depends on the courage of this group of first level players. I hope that this group of newcomers, most of whom have not participated in a battle, can withstand such a big battle. Chapter 80 Surprise Attack. Liang Ting sent a command on the command channel and then stopped. Soon after, all the second level players also ordered their mounts to stop retreating. King Fu and Huazi looked at the human beings who stopped retreating in front of them in confusion. What was going on? Were they waiting to die? Suddenly, they felt a huge breath of living creatures. Liang Ting looked coldly at the Xingpeng and Duxi tribes who were rushing towards them. Suddenly, a large group of human beings with high fighting spirits continued to be heard from the forest behind them. King Fu and Huazi were shocked. Huazi immediately turned around and asked King Fu, what's going on? Why are there so many human beings suddenly? And the number is several times more than before. King Fu obviously didn't expect that there could be so many human beings, and he didn't know how to respond for a while. Millions of first level players rushed towards the enemy. Liang Ting was afraid that these newcomers would fail at first. After all, this level of battle was very stressful for them. Although it was a game, the sense of reality was real. However, these newborn calves were not afraid of tigers. First level players plunged into the local army. The source of this momentum was the confidence of the players themselves. In their minds, this was just a game, just a game. After seeing the opportunity to counterattack, Liang Ting immediately ordered the second level players to turn back and fight back. There was only one requirement, that is, to blow up the opponent's camp. The number of second level players had an advantage in numbers. As long as the output kept up and a hole was blown, they could rush forward with their lives with the advantage of numbers. King Fu and Huaxi were angry when they saw the formation being blocked. King Fu immediately ordered the higher creatures in the race to fight back. Although Huaxi was dissatisfied with the false information given by the Xingpeng tribe, there was no other way, so he also asked the higher creatures in his race to assist. Liang Ting said in the command channel, break through in a hurry. All professions don't need to care about mana. Make sure to break up the opponent's formation in the shortest time. Leave the overlord boss to the gang members. The gangs who had experienced the experience of besieging the overlord boss consciously ran to the nearest position. This time, no one cared about other players' behavior of grabbing heads. They wished that the people in their own camp would kill their targets and help them. Now every minute and every second was very urgent. In the concentrated habitat of the Xingpeng tribe, Fu Kai was already seriously injured at this time. Looking at Peng Xin and He Gu in front of him, his face was heavy. Although his injuries were not light, the most fatal one was He Gu's scorpion venom. He Gu, who was also a god, had very tricky toxins in his body. If he fought alone, the two people in front of him were not his opponents, but if they joined forces, he would not have a chance of winning. Now the only choice was to escape, but facing the Xingpeng tribe, which was famous for its speed, Fu Kai knew that he could not escape from Peng Xin. They were originally two hostile races, but he did not expect that they would join forces now. Fu Kai showed an evil and angry expression and questioned He Gu, what a big battle, He Gu. What benefits did Peng Xin give you that made you, the ancestor of the tribe, willing to take action? He Gu patted his black robe covered with blood and replied in a low voice, you don't need to know. Peng Xin continued, don't try to delay time. You know you can't escape today. The longer you delay, the more active the scorpion poison in your body will be. Your only fate today is death. Fu Kai turned back to feel the movement in the direction of the human camp. Maybe it was too far away, or they were all slaughtered. Fukai couldn't feel a breath. If only the Xingpeng tribe was there, the human race would still have the strength to fight. Now there is an additional scorpion tribe. They will definitely not be able to beat it. I hope the little guys of the human race will not be so stubborn, stop sending themselves to death, and be rational and escape directly. In just 1 hour, 1/5 of the first level players in the front row were killed. Facing the encirclement and suppression of 2 high level races, the defense and output of the first level players were too low. Except for guarding, almost no first level players could withstand the third knife, and they were almost killed instantly. However, the Xingpeng and poison scorpion tribes that were besieging the human race were not feeling well at this time. The charge of the 2 races was blocked by the group of ants in front of them. Although they were weak, they really didn't care about their lives. The output of the human race's back row bombarded the camps of the 2 races mindlessly and carried up the casualties. The higher creatures of the 2 races were also unable to get away. Each higher creature in the tribe was dragged by thousands of people. Even if they were crushed, they refused to take a step back. King Fu and Huaxi didn't understand why they still did this, even though they knew they would die. It was really hard to understand. In an hour, the second turn front row players who had bought time for the large army had resurrected back to Jiushan Zuandu. Everyone was immediately teleported back to the battlefield. Looking at the second turn front row players who kept emerging behind her, Liang Ting breathed a sigh of relief. It would not last long if she relied on the first turn players alone. Now that the main front row has returned, the position of her own player camp has stabilized, and she has the capital to fight back. Liang Ting immediately issued a command. All resurrected second turn front row players go forward. Except for the guardians, all other first turn players retreat and deal damage in a hurry. The guardians should quickly increase their status and blood and fight back all at once. All the players breathed a sigh of relief to see the main front row return. This battle was too stressful. Except for the players who were hung up and discussing on the forum, the players participating in the battle did not even have time to send messages on the world channel. If they had that time, they might as well take drugs and meditate on the spot to recover their mana. The Xingpeng and poison scorpion tribes, who were originally held back, found that many powerful enemies emerged from behind the human race. This group of people forcibly broke the stalemate and pushed the front line back bit by bit. Although the players were not afraid of death before, they were frustrated and under great pressure. Now that they have a real front line, their momentum has risen all of a sudden. You have bullied us for so long. I was bullied by my wife offline, and now I have to be bullied by you alpacas online. I really can't bear this bad breath. Fuck the honor value. I will beat you up, even if I don't want it. The fighting spirit of the players soared one by one. Liang Ting looked at this group of growing first level players with satisfaction. I underestimated them before. These guys can get along well and really fight when there is trouble. King Fu and Huaxi looked at the rapidly changing situation with sullen faces. This kind of large-scale war tactics is no longer important. In addition to strength and number, momentum is also a very important factor. Although the human race is not as strong as the 2 races, the advantage in numbers has made up for this shortcoming. Now the momentum of the human race is obviously overshadowed by the Xingpeng and the poison scorpion. King Fu said with a sullen face, "We have to take action, otherwise we will lose." Huaxi gritted his teeth and asked King Fu, "Where did you provoke these races?" One race is fighting against 2 high-level races on its side. Huaxi really feels that the deal is a loss. King Fu said, "Don't talk nonsense, we are already mortal enemies with them." Huaxi stared at King Fu, "Then what do you want? Adding the 2 of us is just 2 more high-level creatures, which will not have much effect on this kind of battle situation." King Fu thought about it and said, "Let's join forces to kill the other side's commander. No mistake, 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar, take a look." Huaxi looked in the direction of Liang Ting and thought for a while and felt that it was feasible. Liang Ting looked at the situation on the field and the balance of victory was tilting towards her side, but she was still anxious. Although she had the advantage, it was impossible to break through the opponent's formation in a short time. If she dragged on, Fukai would die. Seeing the shadow killer who was struggling to survive and output on the battlefield, she immediately ordered on the command channel, "All gangs send a team composed of shadow killers to the habitat of the Xingpeng tribe and tell Boss Fu Kai to move closer to us." There were 6 shadow killers in a team. More than 100 gangs on the field each sent out a shadow kill team, which meant more than 600 shadow killers. More than 100 shadow kill teams were immediately formed and rushed to the habitat of the Xingpeng tribe from different directions. Liang Ting had just given the order when she suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. 2 high-level creatures had already passed through the player formation and rushed to Liang Ting. In order to successfully approach Liang Ting, the 2 used thousands of Xingpeng tribe members as bait. The 2 mixed in among them and successfully approached Liang Ting at the cost of sacrificing thousands of Xingpeng tribe members. King Fu pointed his finger at Liang Ting, his eyes flashing with a green light, and roared, "Strong wind." Hundreds of wind blades appeared out of thin air and stirred in the direction of Liang Ting. Chapter 81 The Fallen Flower Scorpion. Liang Ting stared at the incoming wind blades, and the surrounding national players were unable to react for a moment. King Fu looked at the stunned human commander and breathed a sigh of relief. It worked. Killing the commander should be able to suppress the morale of the human race. The wind blade arrived in front of Liang Ting in an instant. Liang Ting could no longer dodge it. She crossed her hands to protect her head and tried to resist this skill. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of Liang Ting and roared, "Diamond Sutra." Seeing that the person standing in front of him was the newly resurrected mountains and rivers are unharmed, Nangjun saw Liang Ting being attacked as soon as he was resurrected. Without saying a word, he stood in front of him. Looking at the skills of the overlord level boss, he decisively used the skill Diamond Sutra he got in the Hell copy. A series of looming golden barriers were superimposed around Nangjun. The Diamond Sutra has a total of 9 stages. Nangjun has successfully practiced this skill. It is said to be practiced, but in fact it is stacked with soul value. The defense of this skill will increase with the level, so Nangjun is very confident that he can help Liang Ting block this attack. Wind blades hit the golden barrier in front of Nangjun, making a series of dong sounds. The wind blade skill instantly buried Nangjun and stirred up gusts of dust. King Fu did not expect that this once-in-a-lifetime sneak attack would be destroyed. When the dust dissipated, Liang Ting and King Fu saw Nangjun still standing. At this time, Nangjun was already at low health. This overlord level skill made him bear it. King Fu's face was ugly. Liang Ting immediately added blood to Nangjun to help him raise his health. However, before the skill was read out, the flower scorpion broke out from behind the 2 of them, and a black scorpion tail quickly stabbed Liang Ting. The Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe had 2 sneak attacks. The first one was King Fu's frontal attack. If it succeeded, everyone would be happy. If it was blocked, then the second one would be a backup. The peasant army saw the attack coming from behind Liang Ting. The target was obviously the player's command. Liang Ting was busy healing the peasant army this time, and didn't feel the attack behind her at all. The peasant army pulled Liang Ting to retreat to the side. Liang Ting, whose skill reading was interrupted by the peasant army, was stunned when she saw a scorpion tail piercing through the peasant army's chest. The peasant army muttered, "Damn, I just resurrected, and I have to lie dead again." At this time, the players felt deeply insulted after experiencing 2 sneak attacks. Do you think this is your home? Come whenever you want. It's not so easy for you to leave this time. The players automatically ignored the King Fu in the sky. This dog guy was too fast. He ran away the moment he saw that his sneak attack failed. Only the flower scorpion was left at the scene. Quan Si and the Void used a series of restrictive skills. Although the damage was not high, they restricted you and prevented you from running. Naturally, other professional players would bombard you. The flower scorpion, who was planning to go back underground to escape, found that it was restricted by vines and frost. Its face changed drastically. Although its defense was very high, it could not withstand the attacks of countless players around it. No, it had to leave. It used all its skills to tear and break the vines and frost. However, the accumulated skills of the players made the flower scorpion unable to move a step. The ground under its feet was entangled by countless vines and sealed the soil. No melee profession approached the flower scorpion to die. Although it saw that the enemy was restricted, it was a dominant boss after all, leaving enough for the remote mage and endless output. As the patriarch of the poisonous scorpion tribe, he was killed alive behind the player camp because of his recklessness and underestimation of the enemy. Before the flower scorpion fell to death, he saw with his own eyes that the peasant army lying on the ground, who had been killed by him, actually stood up. Although he didn't know why he was still alive, this scene made him completely lose the will to fight. The peasant army stood up and looked at the flower scorpion that had fallen to the ground in the distance. He looked at his chest strangely. Wasn't he dead? Why could he be resurrected? What about the wound on his chest? Liang Ting stood beside Nangjun, patted his shoulder, and said with a smile, "Thanks, big guy. If it weren't for you, I would have been killed." Nangjun asked in confusion, "Why haven't I been killed yet?" Liang Ting smiled and replied, "Have you forgotten what I got from the boss Chu Jiangwang last time?" Nangjun suddenly realized that Liang Ting also had a skill called Buddha's Mercy that could revive teammates. This skill can only be used once a day. Liang Ting rarely uses it, and she almost forgot about it. Nangjun said honestly, "It seems that I was right to save you this time. I got a lot of honor points after this overlord boss died." Liang Ting glanced at Nangjun speechlessly. "What does it mean? My life is not as good as before the honor points. I don't want to pay attention to this straight man." The poisonous scorpion tribe obviously felt the death of the tribe leader. The scorpion people on the battlefield rioted. After a while, the poisonous scorpion tribe chose to retreat. The situation of the human race against the Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe 1 against 2 instantly turned into a situation of the human race and the Xingpeng tribe against 1. The Xingpeng tribe was already under great pressure to resist the human race, and now it was even more difficult after the scorpion tribe retreated. The players also felt the situation of the Xingpeng tribe at this time. Liang Ting immediately sent a message on the command channel. "All players, push forward in one go and break through the opponent's formation within half an hour." Fu Kai was seriously injured at this time. His whole body was stained with blood, and he had 3 piercing wounds on his body. His left hand was hanging down and unable to operate. He kept spitting blood in the big pit on the ground. Peng Xin and Hegu looked at Fu Kai, who had struggled to climb out of the big pit, and planned to kill him. It was rare for him to be able to hold on for so long in the face of the encirclement of 2 gods. If it weren't for Hegu's venom running wild in Fu Kai's body, he might have escaped. Fu Kai, lying on the ground, looked at the 2 enemies in the air unwillingly. He gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand to clench his fist towards the 2. "What if I can't run away? Before I die, I will always let one of you die with me." When he was about to forcibly reverse his blood and activate his vitality for a last-ditch effort, a hand suddenly grabbed Fu Kai's wrist. Fu Kai was stunned and looked at the human race that grabbed him. Human race? How could they appear here? Woohoo! He Yang was the captain of the shadow killing rescue team. Seeing that Fu Kai was not dead yet, he was relieved immediately, but it seemed that his condition was almost the same. Fortunately, he caught up. He Yang grabbed Fu Kai's wrist and pulled him up to his ostrich's back. While Peng Xin and Hegu were still in a daze, he immediately turned around and ran away. Fu Kai felt the ostrich's impressive speed. The first thought was that this little thing ran quite fast. I underestimated it before. No, why is the human race here? Aren't they surrounded by the Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe? Fu Kai asked. Ahem, why are you here? He Yang looked at Fu Kai as if he was mentally retarded. Of course I came to save you, otherwise who would come? Seeing thousands of human players constantly appearing around him, Fu Kai couldn't believe it and asked, did you win? He Yang replied, how is it possible? We are just the rescue team. The army is still fighting with the 2 races. You are so seriously injured. Can you please stop talking? Can you be quiet? Hearing the human race's disdainful tone, Fu Kai didn't know what to think for a moment. You should be angry. The other party risked their lives to save you. You should be grateful. His words are heartbreaking. These guys are poisonous. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619. Peng Xin planned to chase him and said to Hegu, we can't let him get away. At this time, Hegu suddenly felt something and said to Peng Xin with a grim face, your information is wrong. The number of human troops far exceeds what you provided. Pengzin, no matter how many there are, the ending is still the same. Hegu stared at Pengzin and said, it's different. Flower Scorpion died on the battlefield because King Fu didn't save him. Our cooperation ends here. Using Peng people better give me an explanation, otherwise you will have one more enemy. Pengzin stared at Hegu. The other party would not lie to him. It seemed that the patriarch of the poisonous scorpion tribe really died on the battlefield. This was indeed unexpected. At this time, the Xingpeng tribe, which was in a state of panic, could no longer be hostile to the poisonous scorpion tribe, but did not say much. The most important thing now was Fu Kai. He could not let him get away. He spread his wings and quickly attacked the direction of the human race and Fu Kai's escape. Hegu did not obstruct him. He squinted his eyes and thought in the direction where Pengzin left. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 80 to Shadow Killing Rescue Team. For some reason, Fu Kai felt relieved when he felt that thousands of humans were protecting him while he was escaping. He himself found this idea ridiculous. As a god, he actually felt attached to humans, who were not even considered high-level creatures. However, these humans were very kind and righteous to him, and he owed them a big favor. Fu Kai closed his eyes and took advantage of the opportunity to resist the toxins in his body and excrete them. He young saw that Fu Kai did not move and was afraid that the task leader would die, so he poked Fu Kai hurriedly. Boss, are you okay? You are not going to die, are you? Fu Kai, I don't want to pay attention to this guy. He young saw that Fu Kai did not respond and he got anxious. He thought he was not going to die. Boss, please don't be in trouble. I worked so hard to come here to save you. You should hold on for a while before dying. If you die now, I will lose face. Fu Kai, damn it. He young thought for a while what to do. The mission hasn't failed yet, proving that the boss is not dead yet, but he doesn't seem to be in good condition, covered in blood, so dirty. Boss, how about I sing a song for you, and you hold on. Recalling the song that the human race sang together last time, Fu Kai's face sank, and he couldn't help but said, I'm not going to die so easily. He young had just breathed a sigh of relief when a fierce gale came and blew away all the trees near the Shadow Killer Force. The players turned around and looked at the sky behind them, only to see that Pengzin had caught up. Fu Kai turned his head and stared at Pengzin, and Pengzin also stared at Fu Kai. The two gods exuded a faint murderous aura. He young saw that the boss, that was even more powerful than the overlord level, was catching up with him, and hurriedly ordered, everyone, run away. If you get too close, you will be killed in one fell swoop. Pengzin ignored the scattered human troops and rushed straight towards He Young and Fu Kai. Fu Kai held up his movable hand and planned to fight desperately. If only Pengzin was left, he might have the strength to fight by burning his blood power. Fu Kai, who was planning to fight desperately, was suddenly grabbed by He Yang when he was about to reverse his heart veins. Fu Kai. He Yang threw Fu Kai to a shadow killing player not far away and shouted loudly, catch the ball. Fu Kai! Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. After the shadow killing player caught Fu Kai, he immediately ordered the alpaca to turn around and run away. In the middle of the way, he did not forget to respond to He Yang. Good ball. Pengzin killed He Yang instantly with a claw attack, and then turned around and attacked Fu Kai again. Fu Kai saw that the human creature who was just stabbing his heart was killed to save him, and his heart was choked. The shadow killing player riding the alpaca saw that the Xingpeng clan leader was going to kill him at a very fast speed, so he grabbed Fu Kai's hand and threw it to the wolf shadow killing player not far away. Go. After the wolf player took Fu Kai, he ran away again without looking back. Pengzin killed the alpaca shadow killing player in seconds and his face was ugly. Are you kidding me? Without stopping, he rushed to Fu Kai again. Anyway, there was only one goal. Today, Fu Kai's life must be saved. Since you humans want to be buried with him, I will fulfill your wish. In this way, one chased and the other escaped. Fukai was tossed around like a ball. Seeing that the human creatures with no sadness on their faces had to sacrifice their own people one after another to save themselves, Fukai's eyes were red. Although the nerves of these human creatures were not very normal, they sacrificed unconditionally for themselves like this, and they owed too many lives to the human race. Pengzin was completely enraged. Since the human race wanted to die, I will fulfill your wish. He gathered a green aura and attached it to his wings. He waved his wings vigorously, and countless wind blades attacked the Shadow Killer troops. Thousands of Shadow Killer players were killed instantly. Half of them were angry. Why did you cheat in the game of hide and seek? It was too much. However, they could only admit defeat because they could not win by force. The remaining half of the Shadow Killer players ran away desperately. They could not play with such an unethical enemy. Fukai was completely enraged when he watched countless human beings disappear in front of him. Even if I burn the power of my heart veins, I will die with you. Feeling Fukai's disobedience shaking, the player taught him a lesson. Don't move. I'm a serious person. Don't shake my car. Although Fukai didn't understand what he meant, he roughly felt that he was telling him to stay still and continue to escape, abandoning the dignity of a god and talking to the human creatures in front of him on an equal footing. Go. Don't sacrifice for me anymore. I owe you my life already. The player asked, what are you going to do? Fukai had a blank expression. Die together. Player, are you sick? Fukai still had a blank expression. That's right. Huh. What did you say? This guy scolded me. Why scolded me? The player preached righteously. If you die, our mission will be a failure. The army fighting against the Xingpeng tribe and the poisonous scorpion tribe has lost so many people for you. Wouldn't it be a waste? Wouldn't it be in vain that so many people in our rescue team died? Fukai was choked and speechless. Yes, isn't it to help myself that the human race sacrificed so much for me? If I die, then why do so many people die for the human race? Seeing that Fukai had become much more behaved, the player turned around and looked at the Xingpeng leader who was still preparing a big move and continued, we can't run away this time. If you run in that direction, you will see our human race's large army soon. Our commander will tell you what to do then. Fukai looked at the player in surprise and said, what are you going to do? The player showed a death-ready expression and replied sternly, we can't run away. Our mission is to rescue you. As long as you survive, our sacrifice will not be meaningless. Go, before that guy can use his big move. Fukai is not a hesitant person. He looked at the human race beside him who was not afraid of death and said, if I don't die this time, I will definitely avenge you. No mistake. One poem, one post, one content, one book, one forum. The player immediately said, why are you talking so much nonsense? Get out of here. I want to eat. Fukai did not feel insulted, but felt that this group of human beings were kind and righteous. He used his remaining strength to run quickly in the direction pointed by the player. Seeing Fukai leaving, the shadow killing army breathed a sigh of relief. They persuaded this guy to leave. Pengzin was furious when he saw Fukai running away. He used his ultimate move that had been completed to attack the remaining human troops. Countless wind blades completely submerged the remaining shadow killing army. Fukai felt the breath of the human race behind him, and tears fell from his eyes unconsciously. He was now carrying not only his own blood feud, but also the lives of countless human beings. I will never let your lives be sacrificed in vain. The submerged shadow killing army was thinking at this time, I can finally go offline to eat. If I don't go offline, my wife and mother will unplug the network cable. Pengzin used two powerful moves in a row, which made his already injured spirit even more depressed, but now he had to continue the pursuit. If he let Fukai escape this time, it would definitely be more troublesome in the future. He had no time to consider chasing in the direction of Fukai's escape again at full speed, but this time the speed was obviously a little faster than before. Chapter 83 Simulation Scenario Past. The Xingpeng tribe, which lost the support of the Scorpion tribe, was no match for the human race. After losing 1/3 of its troops, King Fu had no choice but to order a retreat. Liang Ting's first priority now was to rescue Fukai. She didn't have much in mind for the retreating Xingpeng tribe. In addition to ordering the second turn individual players and first turn players to pursue freely, she ordered all gang players to rush to the Xingpeng tribe's emergency habitat. Tens of thousands of gang players stayed in place to rest and recover. At this time, they were already in a state of severe lack of blood and mana. At this time, Fu Kai was already exhausted and on the verge of collapse. Sensing Peng Xin getting closer and closer behind him, he gritted his teeth and leaped towards the human race. If it weren't for the blood feud on his body, Fu Kai would have burned his blood and fought hard. Peng Xin sensed that his race was no longer as good as the human race in the distance and was retreating at this time. His face was extremely ugly. Now Peng Xin faced two choices. One was to continue to chase Fu Kai, and the second was to give up the chase and help his own army to clear out the pursuing human race. Not only Fu Kai and Peng Xin sensed the human race, but the players also saw the two chasing each other in the sky. Liang Ting in the back immediately ordered the gang players to rush to the front line to support after receiving the feedback from the front line players. Peng Xin thought again and again and finally decided to spare Fu Kai's life. The race can recover slowly, but there will be no peace if Fu Kai does not die. The players below received Liang Ting's order to continue chasing. You made us so embarrassed before. Now it's time to settle the score. I will not only save Fu Kai, but I will also make your ace seriously injured. Fu Kai's eyes were already dim and blurred at this time. His inner will to survive had been sacrificed by the instructions of the human race. The two beliefs made him persist. After flying for 5 minutes, Fu Kai fell to the ground with his last bit of strength. The impact of the fall made a small pit in the forest on the ground. At this moment, he didn't even have the strength to fight. Looking at Peng Xin rushing towards him, Fu Kai closed his eyes unwillingly. His drowsy eyes could no longer open, and he waited motionlessly for the end of his life. The dark vision seemed to mean the color of death. Fu Kai, with his eyes closed, suddenly heard a familiar voice from his side. It's finally in time. Fu Kai opened his eyes with difficulty. Liang Ting was activating the portal. As long as Fu Kai was brought back to Jiushan Zuandu, the battle mission should be completed. However, it takes 1 minute to activate the portal. During this minute, tens of thousands of players on the field need to resist Peng Xin's output. Peng Xin is going crazy now. Why are there human races everywhere? This group of lunatics really fighting with him to the death. Where did the Xingpeng tribe offend you? Fu Kai saw tens of thousands of human beings resisting Peng Xin and being captured by a child, but he was powerless to save the situation. The power of the gods is unmatched, and only magic can defeat magic. The players found that their skills could not even break the opponent's defense and could only form a meat shield to use their bodies to resist Peng Xin's footsteps. Liang Ting ignored the deaths of the players and secretly muttered in her heart, why this broken portal has not been opened yet. This mechanism is too pitfall. If I successfully teleport the big guy back, his soul value will not be paid by me. I hope the system will be more humane and not too mean. After tens of thousands of players paid their lives, the portal was successfully opened. Liang Ting didn't respect Fu Kai at all and dragged his arm and swung it towards the portal, shouting, "Go, Geruman." The players present had ignored Peng Xin and everyone was looking at the portal, secretly hoping that nothing would go wrong with the dog system. The moment Peng Xin saw the portal open, his face changed drastically. Although it was the first time he saw this formation, Peng Xin felt a strong sense of space and secretly thought that it was not good. He used up all the remaining wind energy in his body and shouted, "Big wind crack." Countless dense wind blades stirred towards the direction of the portal. Fu Kai looked at the remaining humans who hurriedly moved closer and used their lives to block the wind blades and then fell down. This scene was so familiar. Half an hour ago, Shadow Kill's rescue team was also slaughtered in the same situation. They couldn't be saved before, and they can't be saved now. Before Fu Kai entered the portal, he shouted loudly, "Peng Xin, I will turn your Xingpeng tribe into ashes. I will devour their flesh and blood." Peng Xin's face turned pale when he saw Fu Kai entering the portal. He didn't have the courage to follow the portal. God knew what was waiting for him on the other side. He didn't expect that the human race actually had powerful beings with spatial attributes. He originally thought that this was just a race bewitched by Fu Kai. It seems that he was naive before. The human race must have been instructed by the powerful people in the tribe to do this. This can explain why so many people of the tribe risked their lives to help Fukai without even considering the continuation of their own race. When he thought of Fukai's successful escape and the background behind the human race, Peng Xin had a headache. Bai Bing, who witnessed the entire battle, has witnessed the players' recklessness. The mission arrangement of the entire battle was operated by Heli Bai, and Bai Bing did not intervene at all. After seeing Fukai successfully teleported back to Jiushan Zuandu, Bai Bing asked Heli Bai, "What is your purpose in rescuing this creature?" Heli Bai, "To win over. The human race does not have any gods on the surface now. One more god can solve a lot of problems." Bai Bing said, "I have found a problem. The number of players is too large now. Facing the encirclement and suppression of two higher races in this battle, there is almost no pressure. If every battle in the future is won by numbers, I think it is inappropriate." Hey Bai, "I have also found this problem. I plan to set up different battles in the future. High difficulty battles will be participated by high level players, and low difficulty battles will be participated by low level players. At the same time, the number of participants in each battle will be limited." Bai Bing agreed. "This is the best way. Otherwise, as the number of people increases, the passion in the game will be eroded." Looking at the time, Lin was almost off work, and she had to go pick up this old kid from get off work. She had a driver's license, but refused to drive. On the way, Bai Bing received a call from Zhang Yi. Seeing the caller ID, Bai Bing had already made up her mind. As expected, Zhang Yi came straight to the point and said, "We are very satisfied with your simulation scene." Bai Bing's tone showed surprise. "Really? Can we reach a cooperation?" Zhang Yi said in a teasing tone. "Don't act as if you are surprised. I believe you have confidence in your own product." Bai Bing smiled and said, "Then can our cooperation be officially announced?" Zhang Yi said, "Yes, if it is convenient for you. Let's sign the contract." Bai Bing said, "Yes, I will tell the company to let them be ready at any time." Zhang Yi suddenly said cautiously, "Although it is your company that signed the contract with us, I still suggest that the fewer people you contact, the better." Bai Bing, "I understand. The contract is signed with my company, and I'm the only one who actually operates it. Don't worry. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one book, one bar, 1619, one book, one bar." Zhang Yi, "That's good. After you sign the contract, I'll have someone give you a codebook, and then the data from each of our simulation exercises will be sent to you via code, and each code will correspond to the content in the codebook." Bai Bing arrived at Yuan's underground parking lot and joked, "Am I considered a top talent and enjoy special protection now?" Zhang Yi, "When we passed your simulation scenario, you were already under our protection." Bai Bing, "Why didn't Heli Bai tell me?" "Hey Bai, you didn't ask me." Chapter 84 Kiss. Bai Bing had already known about the success of the cooperation, but she couldn't help but feel secretly happy when she heard the other party's reply. "I wonder if you internet bullshit dare to disgust me in the future." Lin got in the car and saw Bai Bing smiling like a fool with a disgusted expression. "Why do you have that expression? Are you thinking about something obscene?" Bai Bing just realized that Lin got in the car and nodded to admit, "Yes, I was thinking about you, thinking about obscene things." Lin gently pushed Bai Bing. Let's go eat." Bai Bing said while driving, "From the looks of it, you should be very satisfied with the new company, right?" Lin nodded. "Not bad. At least there is not much intrigue at work." Bai Bing spoiled it. "Maybe your level is too low to feel it, or others don't bother to intrigue with you." Lin glanced at Bai Bing and didn't want to talk to him. Why is her boyfriend so heartbreaking? There is no feeling of sweet love at all. The plot is different from what she imagined. Damn it. Bai Bing didn't notice Lin's little annoyance. At this time, a phone call came in. Bai Bing didn't pay attention to the caller ID and answered it directly. The voice of Grandma came from the other side. "My dear grandson, your aunt asked you when you will go home for the spring festival." Bai Bing calculated the time and answered, "It should be the 29th of the lunar year. I will call Grandma to tell you the time before I go back." Grandma then asked, "Your aunt also asked if you will bring your girlfriend home this year?" Bai Bing and Lin. "I guess this question was not asked by the aunt, but by Grandma yourself, so asking me when I will go home just now was just a prelude." Lin Lin blushed instantly when she heard this question. Bai Bing wanted to take me back to my hometown for the spring festival? Does this count as meeting my parents? Should I agree or refuse? Will it seem unreserved if I agree? I should, but if I refuse, will Bai Bing be unhappy? And from the tone of his grandma, it seems that she wants to see me. Oh, so annoying. Why is it so sudden? Bai Bing was speechless watching the wonderful expression change on Lin Lin's face and replied to grandma. She said she won't reply. Let me reply by myself. Grandma said oh, and the disappointed tone of the phone was clearly felt by the other end. Lin Lin opened her eyes and looked at Bai Bing. Did she say these words? When? After reacting, she hurriedly explained loudly, I didn't say that. Bai Bing glanced at Lin Lin and said for a while, then said to the phone, she said to go home with me again. Grandma's attitude immediately changed from cloudy to sunny. Okay, ha ha ha, then I'll wait for you to go home at home. After that, she hung up the phone without giving Bai Bing any chance to speak. Lin Lin still stared at Bai Bing blankly and argued loudly again. When did I say these words? Bai Bing asked, what do you mean? Do you want to go back to my hometown with me for the new year? If not, I will call grandma and tell her. Lin Lin was angry and shy, staring at Bai Bing fiercely, as if she wanted to eat her. Bai Bing continued to drive, as if nothing had happened, pretending not to see it. When they stopped at the red light, Lin Lin questioned Bai Bing, why are you like this? You just agreed to grandma without asking my opinion. Bai Bing, who was still acting mean in the last second, heard Lin Lin's questioning, and the next second he leaned his head over to the passenger seat, put his hand on the back of Lin Lin's head, and kissed Lin Lin's lips. This move caught Lin Lin off guard. Her eyes widened unconsciously, her breathing stopped suddenly, and her face turned red. After kissing for a few seconds, Bai Bing sat down and smiled at Lin Lin and asked, girlfriend, will you come home with me for the spring festival? That night, neither Bai Bing nor Lin Lin had dinner because Lin Lin cried all night. Bai Bing didn't know whether his girlfriend cried because she was happy or because she was wronged. Anyway, Lin Lin didn't say. Looking at Lin Lin crying like a tearful person, Bai Bing felt that he had made a big mistake. He had thought that they had never kissed each other properly for so long, and he was a little timid about kissing properly. He thought that using this unexpected method would at least prevent the other party from resisting and make it a done deal. In the end, they kissed each other, but he laughed after the kiss. Bai Bing was responsible for coaxing her all night, singing, telling stories, and promising to take Lin Lin shopping, eating, and watching movies on the weekend. Lin Lin looked at Bai Bing with red eyes all night without saying a word. Bai Bing was so scared. Did this woman short circuit because of his kiss? She just stared at him without saying a word. How did she want to take revenge on me? However, Lin Lin's mental journey was actually very simple. Her first kiss was taken away so easily, which was not romantic at all. It was completely different from the prince and princess complex in her mind. She felt aggrieved and burst into tears. The crying soon passed, but when she saw her boyfriend, who was usually so arrogant, became anxious when he saw her crying, she found it funny and could not let him go so easily. She maintained the emotion of about to cry and kept observing Bai Bing. Then Bai Bing began to make various promises and agree to various conditions. Lin Lin almost laughed out loud. Before going home, Lin Lin couldn't help laughing when she saw Bai Bing, who was about to commit suicide. Bai Bing realized that she had been played all night and couldn't help laughing. It turned out that women are all drama queens. Hearing the gurgling sound from both stomachs, Bai Bing complained, why don't you just act for a while? It's past dinner time. After acting all night, Lin Lin said proudly, who told you to take my first kiss like this? Bai Bing, do you want to eat something? Lin Lin, okay. Bai Bing, how about I cook noodles for you? Lin Lin, okay. Bai Bing, do you want to go back to my hometown with me to celebrate the new year? Lin Lin, okay. Bai Bing, okay, then I'll book the plane tickets. Don't worry, leave it to me. After that, he ignored Lin Lin and went straight into the kitchen. Lin Lin looked at Bai Bing's chic back and thought to himself, was he tricked again? Why didn't he learn to be smart after being tricked so many times? Forget it, my first kiss has been taken away, so I might as well follow him. Anyway, it would be boring to be alone in Guangzhou. After cooking a bowl of noodles, Bai Bing was too lazy to go home, so she stayed on the sofa in Lin Lin's house and fell asleep. I don't know if it was because she had taken Lin Lin's first kiss during the day, but Bai Bing dreamed that she and Lin Lin entered the palace of marriage, and they kissed each other in the presence of relatives and friends. Bai Bing was very happy in the dream. In fact, when Lin Lin took out the bedding from the room and walked out of the hall, she was speechless when she saw her boyfriend who was already sleeping. How sleepy was she? She covered Bai Bing with the quilt, sat on the sofa where Bai Bing slept, turned her head to look at Bai Bing's sleeping cheek, reached out and flicked Bai Bing's hair, then squatted down and looked at her boyfriend's facial features carefully. What should I do? If he becomes more and more handsome the more I look at him. My first kiss was taken away by you inexplicably. No, I want to kiss him back too. Lin Lin gently kissed Bai Bing on the lips. Whether in the dream or in reality, Bai Bing had a happy smile on her face. As if she had dreamed of something, Bai Bing said in her sleep, Lin Lin, I like you. Lin Lin, who was squatting beside Bai Bing, heard this. Chapter 85 History of the Extremely Cold Region. Fu Kai woke up from the darkness and found that his injuries had almost healed. The penetrating wound had healed, and the toxins in his body had been eliminated. He sat up and looked at the surrounding environment. It was a simple residential structure, and there was a noisy sound outside the house. Fu Kai stood up and limped out. Maybe because he hadn't seen the light for too long, the dazzling sunlight shone on Fu Kai's face. He blocked the dazzling sunlight with his hands. After adapting to the light, Fu Kai saw the bustling downtown on the street. There were strong races selling wolf mounts on the street. Fishermen with beautiful pearls and scales on the stalls next to them, monkeys selling drinks not far away, and many races that he knew, or didn't know, were buying and selling different items. Many human beings came and went. This scene made Fu Kai feel like he was back to his childhood for a moment. Many races passing by didn't carry weapons, and they got along very well with the creatures of different races around them. When they met other familiar people, they stood together and chatted. Maybe it was because of the human race's habit of the main city. Many races did not act too submissive when they saw Fu Kai, who was a god. When they walked by him, they just nodded to show respect and did nothing more. Fu Kai had visited dozens of places before, if not 100. Those ethnic camps were only inhabited by people of their own race. There was no place like here where so many races lived in harmony. Looking at the scene in front of him, Fu Kai felt like he had discovered a miracle. The passing human race showed thoughtful expressions after seeing Fu Kai. This was the so-called god creature. It looked no different except for the black spots on the skin. There was nothing special about it. Fu Kai then realized that the place he was in was the base camp of the human race. He was angry and grateful to this group of races that had done him a favor. He was angry because these guys obviously lacked the reverence they should have for the gods and did not treat the village chief as a cadre at all. He was grateful because his life was saved by the human race at the cost of countless lives. Bai Bing and Haley Bai spent a lot of soul points to recover Fu Kai's injuries. They felt that they couldn't let this guy get away with it for nothing, so they decided to include Fu Kai in the human race so that players would have a backer when they wanted to die. They didn't need to hire him for life, but only needed to hire him for 10 years. The task of negotiation and persuasion was given to Kai Jetao Tao Dong Zhi. Dong Zhi refused at this time because there was a task penalty when he received the task. It stated that if he failed, the soul points spent on Fu Kai would be deducted from Dong Zhi's backpack. If the soul points were not enough, he would have to pay in installments. Facing the huge debt, Dong Zhi came to Fu Kai as if he had lost his parents. Seeing the first human he made friends with, Fu Kai had a natural liking for him and asked Dong Zhi, "Thank you for your ace saving me." Dong Zhi, who was still considering whether to use a soft or hard approach in the previous second, suddenly had an idea after listening. He acted indifferent and said, "In order to save you, we went to ask the city lord for help, otherwise your life would be in danger." Fu Kai believed it without a doubt. He knew the extent of his injuries very well, and he didn't know how long it would take him to recover on his own. Now, he had healed most of it, just by using the time he was unconscious. The human city lord was probably a creature more powerful than himself. Dongzi said his mission. Our city lord asked me to ask if you are willing to stay in our main city for 10 years. Fukai looked at Dongzi in confusion, and the latter continued. The city lord said that countless human lives were sacrificed to save you. Now a human race's combat power has been broken. It is estimated that it will take 10 years to fully recover, so he wants you to protect the human race for 10 years, to let the human race recuperate. Fukai understood. Such a great favor only wants him to protect for 10 years. This request is too light. Not to mention 10 years, 100 years is also appropriate. Facing the selfless human race, Fukai could not think of any reason to refuse, and agreed without hesitation. Seeing that his mission was actually completed, Dongzi breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that this guy is still reasonable and easier to fool. At this time, Yi Jian ran past the two of them, and saw Fukai staring at Yi Jian in a daze. Dongzi asked in confusion, "Why are you looking at him? Do you know him?" Fukai pointed in the direction where Yi Jian left and asked Dongzi, "I remember he died on the battlefield. Why is he here?" Dongzi said perfunctorily, Twin brothers, ha ha ha, don't mind." Fukai looked at the direction where Yi Jian left thoughtfully. Dongzi said, "Our main city is called Jiushan Zuandu. You can just find a place to rest." Fukai said it didn't matter. He could live anywhere. As a god, he was not picky about the environment. He had survived hundreds of years of seals. What did the environment matter? Yi Jian ignored Fukai and Dongzhi. He was now in a hurry to complete his mount mission. He obtained a ray of dragon energy in the last New Year's Day event. This ray of energy combined with the dragon seedling in the backpack prompted the system to obtain a mount mission. Go to the extremely cold region to find the sealed dragon skeleton. Just one of the dragon skeletons is needed to breed a growing dragon mount. Dragon mounts have the ability to fly and cannot participate in combat. But just being able to fly is enough to surprise Yi Jian. Now the planet game doesn't even have a flying mount. He must be the first player to obtain a flying mount. Yi Jian specifically checked the official website for information about the extremely cold region. The information showed that thousands of years ago, the extremely cold region was still a forest with birds singing and flowers blooming, and many races of creatures lived in this forest, until one day an extremely huge, lizard-like, evil-iced dragon. The official information gave a hand-drawn pattern in the shape of a lizard-iced dragon passed through this area. For some reason, the evil dragon slaughtered half of the creatures of the race in the area. Faced with the extremely powerful evil dragon, the remaining creatures had no ability to resist, and could only wait to die. When the evil dragon clan was about to devour all the creatures in this area, another giant green dragon covered with scales, official data gives a hand-drawn pattern in the shape of a green dragon, arrived and fought with the evil dragon clan. The two dragon clans from different branches fought each other until the sky was dark and the sun and the moon were irrelevant. The remaining creatures saw this and rose up in resistance to help the green dragon. However, the evil dragon clan was too powerful after all. The green dragon used a secret method to sacrifice his life and died together with the evil dragon clan. After the evil dragon clan fell, this area was covered by the ice attributed aura released from their bodies and turned into an environment of ice and snow all year round. After the resistance, the few remaining creatures also guarded the fallen green dragon skeleton for generations. In the area where the green dragon skeleton is located, the invisible aura resists the impact of naturally formed ice and frost again and again, allowing the guardian creatures within the range to have hope of survival for generation after generation. Chapter 86 Strange Pattern. If we refer to the actual map, the extremely cold region is about the size of two cities. Such a large area of ice and snow not only has low visibility, but also causes continuous blood loss for a long time. Yi Jian took a bottle of medicine with ice resistance and rode his mount to the central area. In the official website's information on the extremely cold region, there is an additional message. In addition to the creatures that rely on the azure dragon skeleton to survive, there is also a race in the extremely cold region that can fear no frost in the ice and snow environment, the Snowman tribe. The Snowman tribe has the ability to walk upright, with thick fur all over the body and a tall body of nearly 3 meters. They live in countless caves in the extremely cold region. They rarely eat at ordinary times. If they are really hungry and thirsty, they will prey on the few creatures that can survive in the extremely cold region. The official information indicates that the snowman tribe has wisdom, but it is not very wise. If the player encounters it, it is recommended to escape if they are defeated. For this race, all creatures that can move are food that they can eat. Endless frost hit Yi Jian's body. Every time it hit Yi Jian, his health bar would drop a little. Yi Jian kept pouring blood bottles into his mouth. The 1-minute cooling time of using medicine was like drinking soup, and the mount had already been exhausted and was summoned back. As he went deeper, his health dropped faster. Yi Jian didn't care at this time. Anyway, the medicine had been used up. At most, he would be killed on the way back. This ghost mission was too damn difficult. However, when Yi Jian was about to give up, the dragon seedling in his backpack emitted a faint glow, and Yi Jian's body was automatically wrapped in a layer of light blue light curtain. The blood bar that had been in a state of continuous blood loss suddenly stopped. Yi Jian looked at the dragon seedling that automatically floated in front of him strangely, as if it was guiding the direction of Yi Jian's progress. As if it was due to the appearance of the dragon seedling, the surrounding ice and snow surged towards Yi Jian more violently, but it could not break the defense when it hit the light curtain. Bored, Yi Jian followed the direction guided by the dragon seedling. Should he start a live broadcast? The live broadcast of the extremely cold region should be quite interesting, and it is estimated that it can earn a lot of soul points. He did it right away, opened the live broadcast system, and wrote the title, Exploration of the Extremely Cold Region. Countless viewers poured into the live broadcast room. In addition to the reason that someone would explore the extremely cold region, a place with frost all year round, there is another reason that the person who started the broadcast was Yi Jian. In the minds of players, Yi Jian has always been the top echelon of planet in terms of combat power and level. He can fight alone and never form a team. He relies on his excellent skills to beat all those who do not obey. If someone else started the broadcast and said that he was going to explore the extremely cold region, the players would probably think it was a gimmick, but it must be true if it was Yi Jian who started the broadcast. After all, the great god wants reputation. All the players who entered the live broadcast room saw was a large field of snow and nothing else. There were all kinds of messages in the room. My signal is bad. Why is there snow in the room? If I hadn't seen the barrage, I would have thought I was disconnected. Is my dog on the rooftop asking for my internet cable again? Is your internet cable hanging on the rooftop? With this frost effect, it's a miracle that the master is still alive. Yi Jian greeted the people in the live broadcast room and then told the audience the history and information of the extreme cold region that he had learned from the official website, and then said that he wanted to find the mission items in the extreme cold region and was now on his way to the mission location. The audiences quite recognized this technical master who could neither shout into the mic nor create show effects. After all, not all anchors would be so serious about seeking death. No matter how this task sounded, it felt like the authorities were disgusting people. Fukai was squatting beside one of the players in the main city and watching the live broadcast. He was amazed that the human race had such an awesome artifact and sighed at the familiar environment in the screen. After all, he had been sealed in the extremely cold region for hundreds of years. As a god, he felt a little sad about the biting cold environment, let alone a human race that had not reached his level yet. After hearing Yi Jian's voice in the picture, Fukai recalled that there was indeed an ancient race in the extremely cold region. They called themselves descendants of the Azure Dragon. There were not many of them, only a few hundred people, and they were not strong either, just a medium level race. But the tricky thing was that they grew up under the protection of the Azure Dragon skeleton, and they would more or less have a little bit of the Azure Dragon's residual breath on their bodies. They were fearless of ice and frost, and had high wisdom. At the beginning, this group of Azure Dragon descendants also found their sealed altar, but they thought that the altar was a dilapidated building, left over from thousands of years ago, so they did not destroy it. Otherwise Fukai would have come out long ago. Fukai looked at the picture and fell into deep contemplation and nostalgia. The player who was being held by him and not allowed to leave was speechless. If you can't watch the live broadcast, don't pull me. We are not familiar with each other. The player said to Fukai helplessly, "Boss, if you want to watch the live broadcast, open the live broadcast room yourself. There is no need to rely on me." Fukai showed a puzzled expression, and the player muttered in his heart, "What's the use of such a stupid god?" He was cheated, and had to help others count money. Fukai felt a contemptuous look of the human race. This group of human race is good in everything except fearing death. It seems that it is time for you to feel what the love of the gods is. Seeing Fukai's enthusiasm, the player's back felt cold and his attitude changed 180 degrees. He smiled and explained, "Boss, if you don't know how to watch live broadcasts, I will teach you. You just need to silently recite in your heart to open the live broadcast hall. Every live broadcast room in the hall can be watched. You only need to pay a certain amount of soul value to watch as much as you want." Fukai now knows what soul value is, but he has not obtained it since he first arrived. He stretched out his hand and said to the player, "Give me some soul value." The player looked at Fukai blankly, taking it for granted. Is this considered robbery? Is the official NPC boss so shameless? Fukai took the small backpack handed over by the player and was a little dissatisfied when he saw that there were only 200 soul values in it, but after all, the other party had taught him, so he thought about it and decided to forget it. He hung the small backpack on his waist and returned to his residence to open Yi Jian's live broadcast room to continue watching. Yi Jian felt that the frost around him was getting smaller and smaller, and the green light emitted by the dragon seedling pointing the way in front of him was getting brighter and brighter. It seemed that the destination was not far away, so he quickened his pace and continued to move forward. However, due to the wind and frost, Yi Jian did not notice that there were some large and small dots on the road along the way. Each dot had the same pattern drawn on it. These patterns were covered by ice and snow and would only reveal a trace of their features when blown by the wind and frost occasionally. Fukai noticed the pattern in the picture and pondered for a moment. As if he remembered something, he immediately shouted a reminder in the picture, although he didn't know if the people in the picture could hear it. "Fukai, be careful of the pattern under your feet. Don't step on it." Oh, the big brother also watches live broadcasts? Strange. Where does the big brother get the soul value? What is the pattern under your feet? Why don't you step on it and try it? No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619, one book, one forum. Right. You only have one life, so you should give everything a try. Seeing Fukai's eye-catching name and what he said, Yi Jian looked down at his feet curiously. Every few meters around him, there was a pattern of the same size, large or small. Fukai said not to step on it, so he should be careful to avoid touching it. His body stepped back unconsciously, but it was during this step that he stepped on a small pattern. Yi Jian. Fukai. Players, well done. Chapter 87 An Unacceptable Secret. After Yi Jian stepped on the pattern, a cyan light spread from the ground, and then a beam of light appeared from bottom to top. Yi Jian stood in the beam and looked at the frost blocked by the beam. He was surprised. It seemed that the function of this beam was to protect the creatures from the invasion of frost. Fukai was speechless. He was still telling people not to step on the pattern in the last second, and he was immediately hit in the next second. These guys were poisonous. Fukai knew that the beam of light could indeed help the creatures resist the invasion of frost, but it also had another function, which was imprisonment. As long as the creatures stepped into the beam of light, they would be trapped in place. This beam of light was developed by the creatures in the extremely cold region who claimed to be descendants of the Azure Dragon using the breath of the Azure Dragon. When the tribesmen encountered strong frost or danger outside, they would find the pattern closest to them to activate the beam of light, or use the pattern to hunt some lone creatures. There was no way to destroy it from the outside, and there was no way to get out from the inside. If they wanted to break the beam of light, they had to wait for the unique method of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. Fukai posted what he knew in the live broadcast room. Only after seeing Fukai's explanation did the players realize the interests involved. Fukai is indeed knowledgeable. Fukai has been trapped for so long, it's not surprising that he knows all this. That's right, old illnesses can be cured. When it comes to little knowledge about binding, it has to be Fukai. Seeing the content on the barrage, the expression on his face darkened a little. These human guys really don't respect me at all. After all, I'm a god. Fukai gritted his teeth and his wounds were about to break. I swear that next time there is another human being who is so disgusting, I will definitely hang him up and beat him. The savior is useless. After seeing Fukai's explanation, Yi Jian suddenly realized that he was trapped. He walked to the edge of the beam and gently touched the edge and then walked out. Yi Jian. Fukai. Players. I take back what you said about Master Fukai being well informed. It seems that you still haven't learned your lesson after being trapped for so long. Master, there will be a day when you will be slapped in the face. Ha ha ha. There is a fundamental difference between pretending to know and pretending not to know. Master, this is a social death scene. We all like it. Ha ha ha. Fukai identified a few jealous and presumptuous IDs and then stopped talking. When his emotions reached the edge of collapse, he was brewing a big move. Since you are courting death like this, I will find you one by one and hang you up and whip you for days and nights. Fukai felt that it was time to teach this group of humans that they should maintain the proper respect when facing the gods. I don't know how the god of the human race can tolerate it. It is too kind. After walking out of the light beam behind him immediately dissipated. Yi Jian didn't pay much attention and continued to follow the direction indicated by Long Mao. 10 minutes later, two figures, a man and a woman, appeared at the location of the previously activated light beam. Both of them were wrapped in white animal skins and had a bone dagger tied to their waists. The man touched the pattern and said to the woman, "The seal is not invalid. It has been activated once just now." The woman was puzzled. Impossible. There is no way to get out of the seal without the method of using the Azure Dragon's breath. Could this creature be a member of our camp? The man shook his head. No, none of the hunters who are hunting outside the camp are in this position. The woman said, there are only two ways to leave the seal on your own. One is to have a stronger power than the Azure Dragon's breath remaining in the seal, and the other is to be a creature that also has the Azure Dragon's breath. I can't think of any other possibilities. The man thought for a while and then asked uncertainly, do you think it is possible that this creature is not from our camp, but has the Azure Dragon's breath? The woman looked at the man in a daze and then said, if so, we have to tell the high priest about this immediately. A voice suddenly came. Hello. Bai Bing observed the situation in the game and asked Heli Bai, this so-called descendant race of the Azure Dragon, are they the Azure Dragon that our country believes in? Heli Bai said, to be precise, they are not one race, but a group of multiple races that come together to keep warm in the extremely cold region. As for whether what you are asking about is the Azure Dragon, the Chinese totem in your mind, it is indeed one of its branches. Why does our Chinese totem beast appear in planet? Bai Bing asked in shock. Hei Bai answered as a matter of course. Even the 10 kings of hell exist. Why can't the Azure Dragon exist? Bai Bing, then can all the gods in our Chinese legends be encountered in planet? Hei Bai denied. Some gods are there, but more are in the universe. Don't think of the world of creatures here as too simple. Compared to it, the earth is still very small. Bai Bing pondered for a while. Can you tell me your true identity now? Hey Bai, not yet. I still say that when you conquer enough of this world of creatures, you will naturally know my origins. Bai Bing asked, then why did you choose me? Bai Bing had asked Heli Bai the same question before. At that time, Heli Bai's answer was to tell him later. At this time, Heli Bai replied, don't think too much of yourself. You are the only creature who can control me. When you get your previous memories back, you will naturally get the answer you want to know. My memory. I'm sure I have never lost my memory since I was born, but sensing that Heli Bai was unwilling to answer, Bai Bing had to give up. One day, he would know the truth. Finally, Bai Bing asked the most critical question, the last question, are the earth and the world of creatures in planet in the same dimension? The same timeline? Or are they in the same universe? No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one forum, one look. After a few seconds of silence, Heli Bai gave a shocking answer to Bai Bing. Yes. Because the answer was too shocking, Bai Bing sat on the sofa in a daze, his whole body limp. Heli Bai continued, I told you, don't think of yourself too simply. You are the supreme god in the living world of planet, but this living world does not belong to you for the time being. You need to conquer it step by step. Bai Bing asked stupidly, in that case, when the players in the living world grow to a sufficient level, can they find the current earth and planet? Hey Bai, yes. In that case, does it mean that besides the players, any capable creature can also find the earth? Yes. Does it mean that the earth is at risk of being invaded by powerful aliens at any time? Yes. Bai Bing stared at the ceiling blankly, as if he had caught some blurry picture and had a headache. I'm not an ordinary person, right? Yes. We have been together many years ago, right? Yes. The previous me, is I dead? Yes. But I found you, and I found you every time. I get it. I'm a bit stressed. I found a job as a water pipe leak detector and will start work tomorrow. I may not be able to update frequently in the future. I coded 4 chapters at once today as compensation. I will still update 2 chapters a day in the future. Chapter 88 The Easily Cheatable Descendant of Azure Dragon. Hello. The man and woman at the printing office were startled by the sudden voice and stood up and looked in the direction of the voice. Yi Jian looked at the 2 men and women who were about the same height as him. The man had a green crescent tattoo on his face and the woman had the same tattoo on her arm. Seeing the 2 people startled by him, Yi Jian said embarrassedly, "Sorry, I scared you." The audience in the live broadcast room immediately got excited when they saw the race they had never seen before. Ah, I found a new race again. I love the figure of this woman. Koi, aren't these 2 more beautiful than the current stars? The anchor must find a way to form an alliance anyway. If you don't know how to lick, I'll teach you. I'm a professional. Looking at the messages from the sand sculpture players, Yi Jian did plan to establish diplomatic relations with the race of these 2 people. The current way of socializing among players is either to form an alliance or to fight. As long as you are unwilling to form an alliance with us, we will definitely launch a war and beat you to death. Then propose to establish diplomatic relations. The man asked cautiously, "You activated the seal just now?" Yi Jian nodded and admitted, "It was me. I don't know why it suddenly turned into a beam of light." The woman asked, "Then how did you get out of the seal?" Yi Jian was stumped by this question. How else could he get out? Just walk out normally, or crawl out? Just walk out normally. Yi Jian answered honestly. The woman held the dagger made of bones and said hostilely, "Impossible. Your strength is not enough to offset the energy of the seal." Seeing that the 2 did not believe it, Yi Jian walked confidently to the nearest seal and stepped on it under their surprised gaze. A beam of light with a larger range than before appeared and trapped Yi Jian. "Since you don't believe it, I have to show you. Look, I walked out directly like this." Seeing Yi Jian walk out of the beam without any hindrance, the 2 noticed the dragon seedling on Yi Jian's chest and were stunned. The man stared blankly at the dragon seedling emitting green light, such a pure breath, purer than the breath of the Azure Dragon. Yi Jian pointed his finger at the dragon seedling floating on his chest. "This is what guided me here. When I arrived, I saw you 2 standing here, so I came up to say hello. I have absolutely no ill intentions." The man's vigilance was not so strong. After all, he could not be considered a bad person if he could possess a purer breath than the Azure Dragon. "Who are you? Which tribe are you from?" Seeing that the topic was getting to the point, Yi Jian hurriedly improved his favorability. "I'm from the human race of Jiushan Zuandu. We are just south of your extremely cold region. In theory, we are neighbors. What race are you? Do you have any hostile races? Do you want us to help you destroy them?" Hearing such a domineering self-introduction, the woman put away the dagger in her hand and didn't know what to say for a moment. "I can hear your good intentions, but why are your words so strange? What do you mean by helping us destroy them?" Without replying, the woman said, "We are not of any race. We are descendants of the Azure Dragon." Yi Jian responded with HMM. "Whatever you say is what it is. Anyway, there must be an official reason for the official setting you up. Anyway, these are not important. What is important is to form an alliance." He perfunctorily agreed. "The Azure Dragon, I know, it is the totem beast of our race. So we are still a family." Yi Jian's perfunctory words shocked the 2. "The Azure Dragon is the totem beast of your human race?" Exclamation mark. The man stepped forward and asked, "Don't lie to me. How could your human race's totem beast be the Azure Dragon? Lord Azure Dragon has fallen into our extremely cold region thousands of years ago. Does your race have thousands of years of history? Yi Jian nodded. It's true that our Chinese civilization has a history of more than 5,000 years. Why are you so shocked? Seeing the two people so shocked, Yi Jian had to explain. I didn't lie to you. To be precise, our totem beast is the Shenlang. Azure Dragon is a branch of the Shenlang. I swear in the name of the Shenlang. If I lie to you, I'm a puppy. Yi Jian tried his best to please this race. When did he say such a cute oath? Because they swore to the Shenlang, the two believed what Yi Jian said. In the minds of the descendants of Azure Dragon, the name of the dragon is above everything else. I didn't expect that this person's race had a history of thousands of years, and the totem beast they believed in was actually the same race as the Azure Dragon they believed in. So it must be that they are not enemies, and the dragon seedling breath on Yi Jian's chest can't lie. The two naive people put away their guard completely. The woman came up and held Yi Jian's wrist, looking at him with joy and eyes full of affection. Yi Jian, what do you mean? The players in the live broadcast room suddenly felt unbalanced and sent messages. What the hell? This is wrong. This scene seems familiar. Are these two guys so easy to fool? Is this the rhythm of getting rid of singleness? The official race you designed is too ridiculous. How about I move the Civil Affairs Bureau? The woman asked with joy. Can you tell me the history of your totem beast? Yi Jian had a strange expression. Of course you can, but can you let me go first? The woman became more aggressive and grabbed Yi Jian's wrist with her second hand. She held Yi Jian tightly with both hands for fear that he would run away. Tell me, tell me. The man stepped forward and pressed the woman's shoulders and said, Long Kui, calm down, don't scare our guests. Long Kui reluctantly let go of her hands, her eyes still staring at Yi Jian enthusiastically. The man said to Yi Jian, hello, guest, my name is Longzi, and this is my sister Long Kui. Yi Jian introduced himself. My name is Jian Crossing. Yi Jian. Longzi, brother Jiangxing, what's the matter with you coming to our extremely cold region? Do you need our help? Yi Jian said, I do have something to do. I came here to get a dragon skeleton. Longzi and Long Kui said it didn't matter. Okay, but the skeleton of the Azure Dragon is kept in the deepest part of the camp. You need the permission of the Dragon Envoy to get it. But as our guest, I think the Dragon Envoy will be willing to give you a skeleton. Yi Jian felt that this group of descendants of the Azure Dragon were too easy to talk to. He didn't need to fight, he just needed to lie to them to complete the task. It was the first time that Yi Jian encountered such an easy task. Following the two to the direction of the camp, Long Kui held Yi Jian's wrist the whole time for fear that he would run away. Yi Jian was held by a woman's hand again. Although it was his wrist, he was still very embarrassed, and his face turned red. Can you let me go? Yi Jian said in a low voice. Long Kui walked close to Yi Jian and answered with a firm look. No. Yi Jian said shyly, but I'm not used to it, and why did you grab me? Long Kui said, you are our guest, and the dragon breath emanating from you is very pure. I feel comfortable next to you. After hearing this explanation, Yi Jian looked at Longzi, who had already touched his shoulder on the other side, with a strange expression on his face. So you are so close to me because of the dragon seedling's breath on my body. Fortunately, you didn't grab my hand, otherwise I would have to give up the mission. Longzi saw that Yi Jian was looking at him with a strange expression and smiled at Yi Jian as a matter of course. He took the opportunity to put his arm around Yi Jian's shoulders and said enthusiastically, Brother Jiangxing, don't worry about coming to our camp. Our camp is very welcoming. I hunted a snow deer yesterday, and I will kill it tonight to entertain you. After saying that, he did not put down his hand. The players in the live broadcast room were delighted to see this scene. Brother Jiangxing is not only popular with women, but also with men. Ha ha ha. You have been chosen as the ambassador for establishing diplomatic relations with this race of descendants of the Azure Dragon. Brother Jiangxing is so terrifying that he is popular with both men and women. If Brother Fukai had this charm, he would have been released long ago. I can already imagine what it would be like when Brother Jiangxing goes to the camp and is surrounded by a group of people. Ha ha ha. I just can't get in. Hahaha, you guys are poisonous. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Young Dragon. On the way to the Azure Dragon Descendants camp, Longzi introduced the situation in the camp. All descendants with high status in the camp have more or less Azure Dragon aura in their bodies since birth. Descendants with a certain amount of Azure Dragon aura not only have amazing strength, but can also resist the invasion of frost in extremely cold areas. The purer the aura, the stronger the strength and resistance. The descendants with the highest status in the camp are honored as Dragon Envoys, and their aura is the purest. Dragon Envoys command all descendants, and below Dragon Envoys are hunters, who are similar to Longzi and Long Kui, responsible for hunting food for the camp, and performing tasks, or guarding the camp. Below the hunters are civilians whose aura is not pure enough. Although civilians also have Azure Dragon aura, the purity in their bodies is only enough to resist frost. After knowing enough about the descendants of Azure Dragon, Yi Jian and his two companions could already see the shadow of the camp. On the way, they began to meet descendants of Azure Dragon with crescent-shaped tattoos on different parts of their bodies. Perhaps because they saw Yi Jian and Longzi and Long Kui were not wary, or perhaps because the aura emanating from Yi Jian was too pure. Yi Jian received kindness from everyone along the way. Of course, this kindness required being touched. Yi Jian felt the strange eyes of the descendants of Azure Dragon around him, and was a little scared. If it was a girl, he would have endured it, but you guys, how dare you come and rub against me? If I didn't have a mission, I would have taken action. Long Kui looked at the companions around who came to touch her with dissatisfaction, as if her toy was being played with by others. It was obviously she who could pull Yi Jian all the time, but now there are so many competitors. Long Kui's hand held tighter. Since very few plants can grow in extremely cold areas, most of the buildings in the camp of the descendants of the Azure Dragon are built with ice blocks, and only a few buildings for raising snow horses and other poultry are built with wood. Yi Jian looked at the scenes he had never seen before, and thought it was strange. Although the officials were sometimes inhumane, they really put a lot of effort into the design. Yi Jian observed that there were only tens of thousands of creatures in the entire camp, and half of them, including Longzi and Long Kui, were high-level creatures. This strength surprised Yi Jian. Yi Jian was surrounded by stars, and came to the center of the camp with difficulty. The Dragon Envoy was a short old man wearing white animal skins. His weathered body was inconsistent with his sharp eyes. The Dragon Envoy walked down the steps, and came to Yi Jian. His powerful aura made the descendants around him disperse consciously. Looking at Long Kui, the only one who refused to let go of Yi Jian's wrist and her stubborn eyes, the Dragon Envoy smiled kindly, and said to Yi Jian, "Dear guest, welcome." Yi Jian felt the powerful aura of the Dragon Envoy, and was secretly amazed. This strength should be stronger than that of the boss Fukai. Fukai, who was watching the live broadcast, also saw the Dragon Envoy through the live broadcast. When he was sealed, this Dragon Envoy felt Fukai, and came to the sealed area specifically. At that time, Peng Xin was planning to kill Fukai in the sealed area, but was stopped by the Dragon Envoy on the way. At that time, the Dragon Envoy said, "I don't intend to interfere in the grudge between the two of you, but killing gods in the extremely cold area touches the bottom line of the descendants of the Dragon Clan." Due to the power of the Dragon Envoy, Peng Xin had no choice but to leave. When Fukai was trapped, he asked the Dragon Envoy why he helped him. The Dragon Envoy replied that two holy spirits more powerful than gods had died in the extremely cold region, which made the energy in the extremely cold region extremely unstable. Fukai had already touched the threshold of the holy spirit. If he was killed in the extremely cold region, then this unstable energy would most likely explode. Although the Dragon Envoy's original intention was not to help Fukai at that time, Fukai did owe him a favor. Yi Jian responded modestly, "Hello, Lord Dragon Envoy, I came here to ask for something." The Dragon Envoy touched the dragon seedling on Yi Jian's chest, and his sharp eyes shone with surprise. "What a pure dragon breath. May I know how you got this item?" Yi Jian found a random reason to explain that the dragon seedling was something of his race and told the human race that the dragon race was also a race with the dragon race as its spiritual totem. In the dragon envoy's surprised eyes, Yi Jian told him what he knew about the history of the Chinese dragon. It was also the first time that Long Kui heard that the human race's understanding of dragons was richer than hers, and her eyes were full of admiration for Yi Jian. The dragon envoy saw that Yi Jian was not lying. Since they all had the same beliefs and were neighbors, the dragon envoy was very kind to Yi Jian. You said you came to the extremely cold region to ask for something? Yi Jian nodded. Yes, I came here to find a piece of dragon bones. The dragon envoy. Okay, follow me. After saying that, he turned and left. Yi Jian. So easy. The dragon envoy looked back at Long Kui, who reluctantly let go of his hand and watched Yi Jian leave, feeling as if he had lost half of his favorite toy. Players in the live broadcast room, that luck hurts me. Jian Crossing is undoubtedly a scumbag. He left without mercy. Women only affect the speed of drawing the sword. I'm sure of this couple. I've prepared the betrothal gifts. Let's go to get engaged. Ignoring the comments of the stupid players, Yi Jian followed the dragon envoy through the camp, and what came into view was an endless and bottomless rift valley. There was a terrifying cold air coming from below the rift valley. Even with the protection of the dragon seedling, Yi Jian still trembled in his heart. On the flat ground above the rift valley, an extremely huge dragon-shaped skeleton was quietly lying on it in good condition. The dragon envoy introduced. Thousands of years ago, King Lang and Zilang fell at the same time here. The dragon frame you see is the skeleton of Zilang. Although it has gone through thousands of years, the breath emitted by the dragon bones is still frightening. Yi Jian looked at the huge skeleton and asked, why is there only the skeleton of Zilang? Where is King Lang? The dragon envoy explained. Back then, King Lang used his own life as the price, used the source of his life to kill Zilang, and then disappeared in this area. Yi Jian now respected King Lang. The dragon envoy floated up and flew to the skeleton, exuding a very majestic breath. He stretched out his hand to pull out one of the bones of the skeleton and handed it back to Yi Jian. Yi Jian took the skeleton, and the dragon seedling on his chest automatically dissipated and turned into light to wrap the skeleton. The two objects merged into a ball of light. The task prompt appeared. Task completed. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619, one book, one forum, one look. The dragon envoy stared at the light ball, feeling the extremely friendly breath emanating from it. His face was filled with anticipation. One after another, tiny cracks appeared on the surface of the light ball. Finally, with a clear cry, a creature that looked like a chick broke out of its shell. Yi Jian actually felt something strange when he looked at the chicken. He felt a spiritual connection, as if he had become a father. The dragon envoy only then realized that Yi Jian's purpose in obtaining the skeleton was to breed a dragon. He was extremely shocked. This was a newborn dragon. Although it was weak, it was indeed a dragon that the descendants of the Azure Dragon respected very much. Even the dragon envoy, who was the highest ranking descendant of the Azure Dragon, had never seen one before. This is a dragon? The dragon envoy made a trembling and surprised voice. He squatted down and stretched out his hands to gently hold up the young dragon. However, the young dragon seemed to dislike the dragon envoy and limped to Yi Jian's ankle and hid. Yi Jian picked up the young dragon with one hand, as if he was holding a cat. Although he felt like a father, Yi Jian's family tradition since childhood was that he would not succeed without being beaten. Are you ready to feel the family tradition of the Yi family? After carefully observing the shape of the young dragon, he said, since you are shaped like a chick, I will give you the name Chicken. Seeing that Yi Jian did not love the young dragon at all, the dragon master changed his expression and then heard the name Yi Jian gave him. He became even more furious. You'd better change your name. After all, this is an extremely precious dragon. Yi Jian did not notice the hostility of the dragon master and seemed to be very satisfied with the name he gave. No, let's just use this one. This name is friendly and easy to raise, don't you think, Chicken? The young dragon had no idea that its name was decided by its owner in such a trifling way and continued to get close to Yi Jian intimately. Seeing the young dragon in this state, the dragon master gnashed his teeth and was helpless. An extremely noble dragon was branded with a honorific title like this. The dragon master planned to do some ideological work on Yi Jian before the young dragon grew up. Like the dragon master, the players in the live broadcast room at this time were also furious. Chapter 90, Earth Lizard Tribe. What the hell is this? I thought it was a live broadcast of exploration, but you brought me a dragon. Don't you think the official has ruined the balance of the game by doing this? Give me back my reward. I'm jealous. Report. Someone is cheating. The players who witnessed the whole process were so jealous that they gnashed their teeth. It felt like they were working hard to earn a few thousand yuan a month, but suddenly someone who did the same job as them suddenly won the lottery and reached the peak of their life. The hatred of the rich came up all of a sudden, but the players would forget about it in 2 days. After all, in their minds, it was just a game, and it was no big deal for a big player to appear in the game. The chicken seemed to be hungry and opened its mouth wide to chirp at Yi Jian. Even the sound was so chicken-like. The name was indeed not wrong, but I didn't know what this little guy ate. Yi Jian asked the Dragon Envoy, Lord Dragon Envoy, do you have any food in your camp? This little chick seems hungry. The Dragon Envoy asked in a negotiating tone, Sir, can you change the name? The name you chose is really inappropriate. Yi Jian shook the chicken and said, no, I think it looks like it, and I like this name. Don't you think so, little chick? The Dragon Envoy sighed, walked towards the camp and said, come with me, there is a lot of fresh meat in the camp. Yi Jian was about to follow the Dragon Envoy back to the camp when he suddenly heard a strange and weird cry coming from the bottom of the rift. Yi Jian turned back vigilantly to observe. The Dragon Envoy said, that's the sound made by the ground lizards, ignore it. Ground lizards? Yi Jian hurriedly followed and asked, Lord Dragon Envoy, how strong is this Earth Lizard tribe? Is it a friend or foe? The Dragon Envoy looked at Yi Jian in confusion, wondering why he cared about this, but he answered as he walked, the Earth Lizard tribe is the same as the Snowman tribe. It is an ancient race in the extremely cold region. It is huge in number and its strength should not be underestimated. Every adult Earth Lizard tribe creature has the strength of a higher creature. This race and the Snowman tribe are natural enemies. Every time they meet, they will fight until one of them dies. As for whether they are enemies or friends, why do you think we, the descendants of the Azure Dragon, have set up hunters? Yi Jian's eyes lit up. Every adult Earth Lizard has the level of a higher creature. Doesn't that mean that every one of them is a boss of the Overlord level? And judging from what the Dragon Envoy said, they should be enemies. If they are enemies, then wouldn't it be a battle? Yi Jian asked hurriedly, then are the ground lizards and the Snowman tribe a big threat to us, the descendants of the Azure Dragon? Dragon Envoy, the Snowman tribe generally will not attack the creatures of our Azure Dragon descendants. After all, the Snowman tribe has a certain degree of intelligence. Although the overall strength is stronger than that of us hunters, it is still very difficult for hunters to hunt us. In the extremely cold region, there are other creatures besides us that can be hunted. As for the ground lizards, they do not have any intelligence. Unless the level of the creatures is too different, they will subconsciously hunt and kill, as long as they encounter other races. The strength of our hunters, the descendants of the Azure Dragon, is not as good as that of the ground lizards, so we hunters generally run away when we encounter the ground lizards. We will choose to fight when we have no way to retreat. Yi Jian immediately came up with an idea, then why don't we wipe them out all at once? The Dragon Envoy said, there are countless ground lizards living under the rift. Not to mention that we can't match them in overall strength. Even if we can, we can't match them in numbers. The creatures in our camp plus civilians are less than 200,000. Yi Jian continued to ask, then why don't you move the camp away? Isn't it very dangerous to be close to such a time bomb? Dragon Envoy, I did plan to move away in recent years, but I can't just move away after thousands of years of roots. Originally, the rift was not so huge, but for some reason, the cracks in the rift have become larger and larger in the past decade, and more ground lizards have broken out of the ground. The Dragon Envoy had just finished explaining when a subtle cry suddenly came from the rift behind them. Yi Jian and the Dragon Envoy turned around and saw a huge lizard crawling out of the rift. They observed that the aura emitted by this ground lizard was indeed at the Overlord level. The first thing Yi Jian felt was not fear, but the joy of discovering a treasure. Countless overlord bosses. If it can develop into a battle, that means countless soul points, countless experience, countless equipment, and countless honor points. The dragon envoy said to Yi Jian, "Take the young dragon away first. I'm afraid I might hurt him, since he just hatched. I'll kill this disgusting creature first." As if sensing the divine majesty of the dragon envoy, the earth lizard hesitated and was torn between hunting or fleeing. Just as the dragon envoy was about to take action, the two men and the lizard heard a huge roar. Yi Jian looked behind him and saw a huge snowman nearly 3 meters long running towards him. Yi Jian summoned the chicken back to the mount space and looked at the behemoth with vigilance. The dragon envoy put down his hand ready to kill and said to Yi Jian, "Don't do it. Let's go." The snowman ignored Yi Jian and the dragon envoy and ran straight towards the earth lizard. The earth lizard also roared when he saw the snowman. The two behemoths rushed towards each other and collided heavily. The powerful collision stirred up the snow piled on the ground. Yi Jian was blocked by countless snowflakes and could not see the fight between the two creatures. He could only hear bursts of roars and collisions coming from the snowflakes. The dragon envoy said, "Let's go. They will fight until one of them dies. The surviving party will eat the dead party. They won't care about us." Yi Jian followed the dragon envoy back to the camp, looking back every few steps. The dragon envoy ordered the civilians in the camp to take out some fresh meat. Yi Jian summoned a young dragon and placed it in front of the pile of fresh meat. The young dragon saw the pile of food in front of it and started to eat it. Although the young dragon was small in size, it had a really big appetite. The raw meat that could feed 10 adult men was eaten up by a young dragon the size of a chicken. Seeing the young dragon eating up the food he had taken out, the dragon envoy showed a happy expression on his face, as if being able to feed the young dragon was something worth celebrating. The descendants of the Azure Dragon watching around showed expressions of shock or respect when they saw a living dragon. Some civilians even knelt down to worship. Compared with the exaggerated behavior of the descendants of Azure Dragon, Yi Jian was in a dilemma. This mount eats so much when it is so young. I guess I can't afford to feed it when it grows up. What should I do? Help. The players of Planet are recognized as poor. I can't feed it by myself. I don't know if I can let everyone feed it together if I put it back in the gang. The players in the gang should not be unhappy. The players in the live broadcast room felt better when they saw the young dragon's appetite. They secretly thought they couldn't afford to feed it. I envy the boss for getting a gold-eating beast. I wish the chick grows up quickly. Ha ha ha. Don't let our chick down. Feed it well. My goodness, with this appetite, won't it have to eat dozens of cows for every meal when it grows up? My goodness, I can't afford to feed it. I felt better immediately. Ha ha ha. The other descendants of the Azure Dragons all watched the chick. Only Long Kui came to Yi Jian again, but this time she didn't hold Yi Jian back. Seeing Yi Jian's sad expression, she asked, "Brother Jiangxing, why do you look so sad?" Yi Jian said with a bitter face, "This guy eats too much. I'm afraid I can't afford to feed him." The dragon envoy glanced at Yi Jian after hearing what he said, but didn't say anything. Chapter 91. Deep in the Rift Valley. Yi Jian looked at the chicken with a sad face after eating a pile of raw meat. This mount seemed to be a sinkhole. At this time, a strange cry came from the back of the camp. Yi Jian looked in the direction of the sound, and it was the direction of the rift. The dragon messenger said, "It seems that the two creatures have already decided the winner." The descendants of the Azure Dragon in the camp seemed to have become accustomed to this kind of sound and were indifferent. Although it was none of his business, Yi Jian still became curious and planned to return to the rift to find out. The dragon envoy said at this time, "Since your goal has been accomplished, you should return to your clanland as soon as possible and avoid setting foot in the extremely cold region in the future." Yi Jian puzzled, "Why?" The dragon envoy looked in the direction of the rift and said, "The gap in the rift is getting bigger and bigger. I guess the ground lizard tribe will break out of the ground soon. At that time, the extremely cold region will face endless invasions." Yi Jian was disdainful. "I was afraid that it would not be able to break out of the ground. With the nature of the players, they must be here to seek death if they know there is such a place." Suddenly, an idea came to his mind, and he looked at the Dragon Envoy with a smile. Lord Dragon Envoy, do you want to consider forming an alliance with our human race? When the ground lizard tribe attacks, we can help you resist the powerful enemy. The Dragon Envoy did not change his expression at all at Yi Jian's proposal. He thought to himself, you are a creature who can't even support your own companions, but you are so shameless. Can you represent the human race alone? Although Yi Jian didn't know what the Dragon Envoy was thinking, he could tell that he didn't take it seriously. Yi Jian picked up the chicken on the ground and handed it to the Dragon Envoy, saying with a smile, in order to show our human race's sincerity, I decided to foster the chicken in your camp as a symbol of our alliance. The Dragon Envoy showed a surprised expression. He just gave up the dragon he had been thinking about. Could this guy be kidding? If you can convince your race, I can promise you, but I believe that no race will be so selfless as to help other creatures fight unconditionally. Our camp has nothing to give back to you. Yi Jian waved his hand to indicate that it didn't matter. The main reason why the Dragon Envoy accepted Yi Jian in his heart was that he was the only known surviving dragon so far. Facing the chirping of the chicken, it was really hard to refuse. After the Dragon Envoy agreed to form an alliance, all players in the national server received a system message. The Azure Dragon Descendants Camp alliance was obtained, and the return position of the Azure Dragon Descendants Camp was opened. The players in the national server who received the system message were overjoyed. It was not easy. It had been a long time since the national server had made an ally. This time, they not only gained the alliance of the descendants of the Azure Dragon, but also got a return point in an extremely cold area. The national server players were still brooding over the hatred of the Xingpeng tribe. However, there was an extremely cold area between the Jiushan Zuandu area and the Fenghua continent. The distance was too far. It was really powerless to organize a large-scale revenge. Now, they could stab them openly. A light curtain fell from the sky and shone on the center of the camp. The Dragon Envoy was startled by this sudden situation. He looked at the place where the light curtain was shining vigilantly. The descendants hunters around him also took out their weapons. Yi Jian hurriedly explained, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. This is the return point of our human race. The Dragon Envoy was puzzled. Return point? What do you mean? Yi Jian patiently explained. It is a time and space portal that can be directly teleported from the human race in our Jiushan Zuandu area to here. The Dragon Envoy looked at Yi Jian as if he was mentally retarded. Space portal? Are you kidding me? Although I'm still just a god, I know that those who have the ability of space teleportation are at least 2 levels higher than me. Now you tell me that humans can use space teleportation portals. I didn't treat you as a retard, but you treat me as a retard? This is very rude, don't you know? After the light curtain disappeared, a huge mark appeared on the ground out of thin air, and figures appeared one after another from the mark. Dragon Envoy. In the deepest part of the rift behind the Qinglang Descendants camp, dozens of sturdy trees took root in the cracked wall and grew. Each tree extended a vine to spread in the middle. A short old man with spots all over his body was tied up by vines, and each vine was pasted with dense yellow spells. Trapped in this dark environment without sunlight for who knows how many years, the old man who was once extremely powerful now looks like a sick and dying man. He has no idea how many earth lizards he has eaten. There are countless earth lizard skeletons piled on the ground where the old man was tied. Suddenly, he felt an energy of the same level. The old man opened his tired eyes. His 2 eyeballs had no pupils, only pure whites. He looked up and felt the familiar spatial energy. The old man struggled subconsciously, and then the densely packed talismans on the vines immediately emitted a faint yellow light, and dozens of large trees flashed electric shocks at the old man. This pain has lasted for who knows how many years. His originally unruly character has become numb. This electric shock will not kill him, but simply restricts any of his movements. When he was first sealed here, the old man struggled every day, and was hit by electric shocks every day. However, as time passed, the world seemed to have nothing to do with him. There were only dozens of sealed trees and countless earth lizards to accompany him. Later, the old man was so weak that even suicide was a delusion. This torture without sunlight made the old man choose to sleep by himself. I don't know how long this sleep lasted. Every time he opened his eyes and saw the familiar environment, his heart went from anger to helplessness, then to heartbreak, then to collapse, and finally to no desire. He fell asleep again and again, woke up again and collapsed again and again. Although the old man did not move every time he fell asleep, he would naturally exude a terrifying breath that shocked everything. The earth lizards who originally lived underground would become crazy and bloodthirsty every time they were swept by this breath, and batches of them would emerge from the ground and kill all the creatures they saw. The old man has been sleeping for more than 300 years. If possible, he never wants to wake up. However, when the teleportation light curtain of the human race fell from the sky and shone on the camp of the descendants of the Azure Dragon, this energy of the same level awakened the sleeping old man. As a god, he could clearly sense that the teleportation energy in this space also exuded the majesty of the gods. The old man seemed to see the hope of life and death. No matter whether it was an enemy or a friend, as long as he could attract the attention of the other party, whether the other party helped him escape or intended to kill him, the old man would accept it. The restless breath made the cracks in the rift wider, and also made the ground lizards under the cracks extremely restless. An unprecedented racial riot was about to surge out of the cracks. The old man with a goal had no way back. He ordered the ground lizards to kill all the creatures in the extremely cold region at any cost, as long as he could attract the attention of this god. Even if he didn't like what he did and killed himself, I would fulfill his wish. Chapter 92 Long Jiu Sacrifice. System notification. Players of the Chinese server of Planet. Because the player Jiangxing opened the return position in the extreme cold region, the ground lizards below the rift valley in the extreme cold region rioted, and countless ground lizards will emerge from the surface, and the battle system will be opened. Players are requested to explore according to the gamma play. The number of people in the battle is limited. None. All the creatures of the ground lizards are overlord level creatures. Yi Jian. Oh my god, what kind of unscrupulous thing did I do to make such a big scene? A few days ago, I was fighting with a high level race, and a few days later, it escalated to a battle with an average overlord boss. I traveled through time. How can I fight a battle with an overlord level race? I like to fight, but I don't like to die. I'm ready to be abused. Come on, ravage me as much as you want. I feel that all the second transfer players in the Chinese server may not be able to win the battle. The above person should be more confident and remove the word maybe. Countless, all at the overlord level. These two words made the national server players who had just formed an alliance with the descendants of the Azure Dragon a little uncomfortable. Although the players were eager for the battle, the difficulty was too great. Before the Dragon Envoy had time to express his surprise at the existence of the human race's spatial power, a shocking riotous atmosphere came from the back of the camp. All the descendants in the camp looked in the direction of the sound with a blank face. For the hunters and civilians of the descendants of the Azure Dragon, this breath like a natural disaster was not enough for them to feel. Liangting was stunned for a long time after receiving the system prompt in Jiushan Zuandu. What on earth did Jiangxing, Yi Jian, do to trigger this level of battle? You know, even if the national server players are now at the level of high races, they are not capable of a direct conflict with the per capita overlord level earth lizards. But there is no reason to be timid when the alliance is difficult. The national server players are a group of huskies who are afraid of chaos in the world. As long as they don't die, they will die. For the first time, Liangting felt that being the commander of the national server was a tiring position. It had only been a few days since she had fought against the Xingpeng tribe and the Poison Scorpion tribe. She had no choice but to apply for the battle command, and was the first to be teleported to the extremely cold region. Seeing the Dragon Envoy beside Yi Jian, she walked up. Yi Jian introduced, "This is the commander of our human race." The Dragon Envoy looked at Liangting, whose strength was about the same as Yi Jian's. Just as he was about to speak, Liangting spoke directly. "The invasion of the Earth Lizard tribe will surge out of the ground in half an hour. What are your camp plans?" The Dragon Envoy felt Liangting's aura of superiority and put away his contempt. Although he was not strong, he was indeed qualified to be the commander. "We can only fight to the death. In the extremely cold region, once you leave the camp, you will face the invasion of frost. People in our camp cannot leave. Liangting, but your strength is not enough to resist the tyranny of the Earth Lizard tribe. The dragon envoy's face was normal. The descendants of the Azure Dragon will inherit the bravery of the Azure Dragon. The implication was that they were going to fight to the death. Liang Ting nodded. Or maybe the creatures in your camp are responsible for assisting us. The dragon envoy asked in confusion. What do you mean? Liang Ting glanced at Yi Jian fiercely, and Yi Jian continued with a guilty conscience. It means that we humans will take the lead. The dragon envoy didn't know for a moment whether the other party was serious or teasing him. At this time, Fukai walked out of the teleportation array. Fukai was a little numb now. In Jiu Shan Zuandu, he saw the surrounding humans with strange expressions and hurried. Fukai picked up one of the humans and asked. After learning the answer, he didn't know how to describe his feelings. The human race is really a bunch of beasts. After provoking 2 high-level races, they are now provoking the earth lizards? That is a race that Fukai didn't dare to provoke even in his prime. Every adult earth lizard is a high-level creature. As long as one of them grows into a god, it will definitely be a god race. How could he die and owe the human race a life-saving grace? It's outrageous. Seeing Fukai walk out of the teleportation array, the dragon envoy narrowed his eyes and looked at him. Fukai sighed and stepped forward. The players wondered how Fukai had the soul points to pay for the teleportation array. However, the players who came later cried and complained. The reason was that Fukai learned that the teleportation array required soul points and randomly borrowed money from the players near the teleportation array. The generous players took out their wallets one after another. They had to borrow money because they couldn't beat them. The dragon envoy saw more and more human races appearing from the teleportation array and gradually realized that Liang Ting's words were not a joke. He looked at Liang Ting in surprise. At this time, many snowman creatures appeared around the camp. Due to the riot of the Rift Valley lizards, the snowman creatures in the entire extremely cold area felt threatened, and all the snowman creatures ran towards the Rift Valley. The dragon envoy knew the sincerity of the human race and the arrival of the snowman race, so he said to Liang Ting, the descendants of the Azure Dragon owe you humans a life. Fukai felt that this sentence was so familiar. Liang Ting said, Lord Dragon Envoy, once we humans leave your camp, we will be attacked by frost, which will seriously affect our combat effectiveness. Do you have any way to solve it? The dragon envoy looked at the hundreds of thousands of descendants and the human creatures that kept appearing around him and stretched out his arm from under the animal skin. There were 9 blue crescent tattoos on his entire arm. The dragon envoy said, these tattoos condense the Azure Dragon aura of all the dragon envoys in the history of our camp. Each tattoo represents a dragon envoy, and I'm the 9th dragon envoy of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. I will use all the Azure Dragon aura in the tattoos to introduce it into your teleportation array, so that each of you human creatures who arrive here through the teleportation array can have the Azure Dragon aura for a certain period of time, which can help you resist the frost. No mistakes in one poem, one post, one content, one book, one forum. Liang Ting said, thank you, Lord Dragon Envoy. Dragon Envoy, my name is Long Jiu, and I'm the 9th Dragon Envoy of the Azure Dragon's descendants. If the descendants of the camp can survive this invasion, I hope you can protect them until the 10th Dragon Envoy is born. After that, the 9 crescent tattoos on his arm emitted a fierce light. The players present were puzzled by what Long Jiu meant, and Fukai explained, he intends to use his own life and the power of all the previous Dragon Envoys to bless your human race's teleportation array with the aura of Azure Dragon. Yi Jian and other players present changed their faces, and Liang Ting wanted to step forward to stop him, but Long Jiu had already floated to the center of the teleportation array, and his tattooed and glowing arm pressed on the teleportation array's pattern. All the players present felt that their bodies had an additional 2-hour anti-ice attribute state, and the teleportation array's pattern also emitted a faint blue light. The light faded away, and Long Jiu was already kneeling on one knee on the pattern. He had lost the aura and all the power of the Azure Dragon, and his originally aged body was visibly thinner. Long Jiu looked in the direction of Liang Ting and said, I'll leave it to you. Then his whole body turned into an ice sculpture, and the posture of this ice sculpture was exactly the posture of Long Jiu's final death. All the descendants of the camp who witnessed this were in tears. The hunters held their weapons in silence, while the civilians cried loudly. The players looked very ugly when they saw this scene. It was the first time that the players were so embarrassed before the battle even started. Liang Ting, who was originally tired, saw the battle increase dramatically at this time. It was obviously just a game. Why was she so moved? Why did the official make the game so realistic? The players posted the video on the official forum. This battle was not just for the players. Long Jiu's selfless death stimulated the blood of every national server player. The blood of the Earth Lizards should be used to commemorate Long Jiu. Swear to defend the fire of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. Chapter 93 The Endless Influx of the Earth Lizard Tribe. After Long Jiu died, the flashing light of the teleportation array has not stopped. Countless players swarmed out of the teleportation array. When they saw Long Jiu's ice sculpture, their faces turned ugly. Even Fukai was silent. In the rift valley behind the camp, the violent breath of the Earth Lizards became more and more violent. Liang Ting said to the descendants hunters in the camp, "You camp hunters should first protect the civilians. Don't let your dragon envoy's last wish down, and make a fearless sacrifice." Although the dragon envoy died because of the human race, the descendants did not hate the human race. This was a deal. They used their lives as a deal in exchange for the human race's protection of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. At this time, the human race also planned to keep their promise. The hunters organized the civilians to leave the camp and enter one Azure Dragon breath patterned array after another. One beam after another lit up. The higher creatures were not enough to destroy these formations with the Azure Dragon breath. Compared to the past, this battle of the Earth Lizard tribe has the most players participating, and it is also the most serious one. At this time, the number of players participating has reached more than 4 million, and the number is still rising. The distance between the rift and the camp is not far. When the players arrived, they saw tens of thousands of snowmen staring at the rift. Yi Jian knew that there were far more snowmen in the entire extremely cold area, but due to the vast area, many snowmen were still on their way. Yi Jian felt the chicken in the backpack of the mount that had eaten and drunk enough and fell asleep, and smiled bitterly in his heart. You made such a big scene to complete your mission, and now you are completely famous. In fact, the players didn't think much about it. After all, it was the alliance with the descendants of Azure Dragon that caused the Earth Lizards to go berserk. Liang Ting patted Yi Jian on the shoulder and was about to complain when a beast claw stretched out from under the rift to support the ground. A Earth Lizard creature rushed out, staring at tens of thousands of snowmen and millions of players with blood-red eyes, and rushed towards the snowmen, the most obvious target, without fear. The natural hostility of the Earth Lizards to the snowmen made the players realize that they could let the snowmen be meat shields and just output. This Earth Lizard was hit to death by several snowmen. One-on-one was evenly matched, and fighting more than one was purely seeking death. Tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, more and more Earth Lizards crawled out of the surface from under the rift and rushed towards the snowmen one after another. All the creatures of the Yeti tribe let out a deafening roar. When the enemies met, they were extremely jealous. The two hostile races collided with each other. Countless Yeti tribes used their fists and strength to continuously attack each other, while the Earth Lizard tribe used its claws and teeth to tear the Yeti apart. The pure physical fight amazed the players. This scene alone could beat all the game CGs and movies on the market. A game that could reach such a level had to make the players admire the official dog. Liang Ting issued an order. In addition to the holy healing of the Yeti, all players, including Akela, only needed to output to the Earth Lizard tribe. With the Yeti tribe present to attract hatred, the players did not have to bear the pressure and let the front row take the responsibility. Akela suddenly felt like the new year. In the past, whether it was a battle, a mission, a boss, or a dungeon, they always took the responsibility of taking the damage in the front row. Now they can fish openly and honestly. I will definitely cut them down without mercy. During the battle, the snowmen felt a healing help to relieve their injuries. The Earth Lizards fighting with them were surrounded by many players who attacked them. These behaviors made the snowmen realize that this large number of races were in the same camp as them. The various attacks from the players hurt the Earth Lizards. Even the overlord creatures could not bear it. After all, with the increase of the human level, the output is not low. Many Earth Lizards were harassed by the players and injured, allowing the snowmen to seize the opportunity to hit them hard. Hundreds and thousands of earth lizards fell to the ground, and a large amount of experience, soul points and honor points were fed back to the players. This is not a battle, this is a welfare. I've never fought such a rich battle in my life. It feels so good not to have to take damage. I want to fight 10. It has to be boss Jiangxing. This is so yides. The players originally thought that this was a difficult battle, but they didn't expect that it was simply a welfare provided by the game officials. Liangting ordered the holy healers to ensure the health of the snowmen at all costs. The snowmen obviously felt the players' kindness. Every injured snowman would choose to sit where they were, and then countless players would treat them. Although the health of the snowmen as overlord level bosses was very high, the holy healers and healing professions in the players' camps were about to overflow. As long as you were not dead, as long as you were not irreversibly injured, the players could raise your health. In the end, the snowmen would rather be seriously injured than let the players standing behind them get hurt. Anyway, they would treat their injuries. The battle lasted for nearly an hour, and countless bodies of the earth lizards fell on the snow. Liangting stood on a high place and observed the direction of the rift. Although the situation on the field was very good, there were indeed a lot of earth lizards. A steady stream of earth lizards continued to emerge from the ground. Liangting wondered why there were such a large number of overlord creatures in the ground. It was impossible for a race with such strength to choose to live underground for so many years. Looking at the huge dragon skeleton pressing on the top of the rift, Liangting was thoughtful. The players felt more and more tired as they fought further. Although the snowman tribe could serve as the front row, attacking the overlord level boss consumed too much equipment durability. The durability of many players' weapons had already shown red, and the mana could not stand it. The most important thing was that the ice attribute antibody buff added by the teleportation array could only last for 2 hours. Once it exceeded 2 hours, the players would have to withstand the frost in the extremely cold region, and the players could not stand this continuous blood loss. Many players chose to return to repair the durability of their weapons and buy medicines. After all, it was useless to stay on the field. The earth lizards below the rift continued to pour into the surface. From the beginning of the battle to now, at least hundreds of thousands of earth lizards have poured out, and it seems that there are still many earth lizards ready to move. Although new snowmen have joined the battle, their number is far less than the invasion of the earth lizards. Liangting muttered, "Something is wrong. Why are there so many earth lizards? There must be a limit to outrageousness." Fukai stood beside Liangting and did not speak, as if it had nothing to do with him. Liangting looked at Fukai with ill intentions. The latter felt the strange eyes and immediately became alert. What does she want to do? Don't look at me like that. Liangting said kindly, "Boss Fukai, why don't you help us go down to the rift to see what's going on?" Fukai said with a he, "You really think highly of me. Although I'm a god, I'm also at risk of falling when surrounded by countless higher creatures." Liangting, "Then you are knowledgeable. Do you know what the situation is with the ground lizards below?" Fukai looked at the ground lizards that kept pouring out of the rift. "It's really wrong. A race with such strength has stayed underground for such a long time. Ordinary races have already occupied the extremely cold area and expanded outward." Liangting also looked at the rift. "I think so too. What is the reason?" Fukai, "If this goes on, your human race and the snowman race can't defeat them. If you continue to fight, it will easily cause huge casualties." Liangting was indifferent. "It's okay, let them die. Anyway, I can't persuade them." Fukai had 10,000 alpacas running in his heart. "What's wrong with your race? You know you can't win and still want to fight. Also, shouldn't you explain why you died in the battle with the Xingpeng tribe? Why are you still here?" Chapter 94, Cross-Server Battle begins. Fukai did not ask the doubts in his heart. Before, Fukai met many people in Jiuxiangsandu who were already dead in battle. However, they passed by him alive. The human race must have its own secrets. After 2 hours of ice attribute buff, countless players found that their blood volume was continuously depleted. Most of the players on the field chose to return. However, seeing that the snowmen had suffered certain casualties, they were unwilling to give up. The attack of the ground lizards was completely resisted by the snowmen. Once the players chose to return, the snowmen would definitely suffer. Now the number gap between the two races is already very large, especially the two professions of holy healing and treatment. After 2 hours of mutual assistance, they have developed feelings. Many snowmen would rather be injured than protect themselves. Liang Ting ordered the players to collectively return, to repair equipment and replenish medicines, and teleport back again at the fastest speed. The players knew that they had little time to stay on the field and had to obey the command. Bai Bing also observed this battle. At this time, he was discussing this matter with Bai. If the extremely cold region is invaded, the Snowman tribe and the descendants of Azure Dragon in the region will be slaughtered. Bai gave the answer that Bai Bing expected. Bai Bing, so the players have no way to win this battle? Bai, yes, at least the current combat power of the national server is not enough to fight against the Earth Lizard tribe, and this race has been suppressed underground for too long. When they see the light of day again, they will inevitably invade the surrounding areas of the extremely cold region. At that time, the Jiushan Zuandu region, the weathered continent and the other 2 regions will be invaded by this overlord army. Bai Bing grasped the key points and asked, why was the Earth Lizard tribe suppressed underground in the first place? Why can it break out of the ground now? Bai explained. Thousands of years ago, the Earth Lizard tribe was a race living underground, with limited strength and number. Thousands of years ago, the evil dragon fell near the exit of the Earth Lizard tribe. As a holy spirit, that is 1 level higher than the living beings. Even if it has fallen, it still exudes absolute majesty. It is this majesty that makes the Earth Lizard tribe dare not break out of the ground at will. Bai Bing continued to ask, then why are their numbers and strength so strong now? Bai, because there is a corpse creature sealed under the rift, and it is a god more powerful than the Holy Spirit. This creature is one of the 12 gods of the corpse clan. Because it is too bloodthirsty, it was sealed in the deepest part of the rift by the powerful. The Earth Lizards dare not offend the majesty of the Holy Spirit. They can only absorb the evil spirit of this corpse god underground, so they become extremely manic and powerful. Over thousands of years, this race has reached an astonishing number. It is also because of the disappearance of thousands of years that the majesty of the evil dragon has been almost consumed. Bai Bing was speechless. It's the Holy Spirit and the God. Why are they more exaggerated than each other? Where did they come from? Players can't beat the overlord level Earth Lizards, and you tell me that there is a god 2 levels higher than the gods under the rift? Question mark? What a joke. Then we are going to watch the fall of the Arctic region. Bai, there are 2 ways. Tell me. One is to start a cross-server campaign and let players from the European server participate in this campaign. There are already tens of millions of them. Although their strength is not as good as that of the national server, a considerable number of players have reached the 2nd level. However, this is not enough to control the lizard tribe. You have to involve all the allies of Jiushan Zuandu in this battle. Bai Bing was not willing to use this method. It didn't matter if he started a cross-server campaign. Players could be resurrected after death anyway. But if he let the allies join the battle, once they died, they would be really dead. Seeing Bai Bing remain silent, Bai continued, the second method is to resurrect all the 10 kings of hell. Each of them has the strength of a peak god, which should be enough to resist this battle. Bai Bing was a little confused, and asked Bai, the 10 kings of hell are only at the level of gods? Bai, what else? The king of hell is just a civil servant in the underworld. How strong do you think a civil servant can be? Bai Bing said, okay, then resurrect all the 10 kings of hell. Bai knew Bai Bing's intention, and finally said to Bai Bing, except for the resurrected King Chu Jiang, the remaining 9 kings of hell require half of the soul points we have saved. I hope you keep working hard. Bai Bing no longer wanted to comment on Bai, this money-obsessed man, and said to Bai, by the way, start a cross-server campaign to let players from the European server participate and earn some soul points. Bai. The Chinese players rushed back to the extremely cold region as quickly as possible, but they still found that more than half of the snowmen on the field had died, and most of the remaining less than 30,000 snowmen were also injured. The players who refreshed the buff have realized that they can no longer let the snowmen be the front row. Even if they have holy treatment and healing to increase blood, they will definitely not be able to add blood in the face of the damage from the ground lizards from all directions. Liang Ting ordered the players to hold off the ground lizards in normal formations, although she didn't know whether it would work, so she could only leave it to fate. System notification. Planet players, the cross-server battle is about to start. Half an hour later, European players can participate in the ground lizard battle. Open the cross-server chat channel, and the number of players in the battle is limited. None. All the players who received this system notification were very excited. Chinese players left messages in the cross-server channel. What's the point of those noobs from the European server? With such a big lineup, aren't they just going to be food? Come if you want. Treat them as the front row to take the damage. It's time to wipe but with the screen window, let them slip a few tricks. You will be fined 4 pounds. There are only 2 races in the Yunhai forest area, where the European server is located. One is the elves and the other is the wizards, and both races are high level races. If they fight, neither of them can win. If it weren't for the mortal enemies of the 2 races, the European server would probably not last more than a single round. European server players can only pick up leaks on the side when the 2 races fight, and later the 2 races were so annoyed that they dared not to start a war easily. Therefore, it is extremely difficult for European server players to upgrade now. If they fight head on, no race can beat them. Just think about grabbing kills. Now that the 2 races are not fighting, European server players once suspected that China's black and white companies were targeting their servers. The sudden cross-server battle made European players go crazy like the new year. It's coming. The dog officials still have some conscience, and don't kill them all. The half-hour preparation time is to allow European players to prepare for the online. In just 10 minutes, the number of European players who applied to participate in the battle has reached nearly 3 million, and the number of participants is still rising. Happiness comes too suddenly. Am I dreaming? Someone come and slap me. The damn official finally did something. Do you know how I've been doing these past few months? Do you know? It seems that my constant complaints have worked. This time I'm going to save up a full set of gold honor suits at once. Even Jesus can't stop me. I said it. Let's not talk about other things first. Where is our commander? Yes, there is no way to enter the cross-server channel without a commander. Where is Vegeta? Veg William, who was driving the tank, was silent at this time. What he was afraid of was that these guys suddenly thought of letting him serve as the battle commander again. The last time the European server and the elves fought, they carried it through without a single soldier. This led to all the old players in the European server admiring Vegeta William very much. However, that time he really wanted to escape and did nothing. It was all coincidence. However, Vegeta Williams' calm command method of defeating the enemy without fighting has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Seeing the world channel crowded with people searching for his content, Veggie William applied for the campaign commander with a bitter face. There was no other way. If he didn't serve as the campaign commander, they really didn't plan to find anyone else. After all, he also wanted to upgrade. In this way, Veggie William, who had social phobia, served as the campaign commander of the European server for the second time. Chapter 95. European server players arrive. The Chinese players joked, but they really hoped that the European players would come soon. They couldn't bear it. They had to protect the snowmen and help them share the pressure, and they had to withstand the endless output of the earth lizards. Now there were less than 20,000 snowmen on the field. Although there were no more earth lizards crawling up from the rift, there were at least more than 100,000 earth lizards on the field, equivalent to more than 100,000 overlord level bosses. How could they handle it? Batches of Chinese players fell down to cover the injured snowmen. Fukai was anxious and angry when he saw this scene. Even a foreigner like him couldn't stand it. Liangting was still counting the time to wait for the support of the European server. Fukai saw Liangting's expressionless face and asked in great sorrow, "Don't you feel bad at all when you see so many of your own people die?" Liangting only noticed Fukai's slightly anxious look at this time and hurriedly showed her acting skills. "I feel bad, very bad, but there is no way. We promised Long Jiu to protect them. As humans we must keep our word. We must eat shit if we say so. No, what I mean is that we humans are trustworthy and we can do what we say." Fukai said, "I admire you humans for keeping your word, but it is not appropriate to use the extermination of the race as a price for a promise." Liang Ting thought to herself, why are you saying so much? If you are anxious, you can come on the field to help. You keep nagging me, drooling more than tea. If I can't beat you, I really want to kick you down. Fu Kai saw that Liang Ting didn't say anything and was obviously going to do it on his own. If you weren't the commander of the human race and had done me a favor, I really want to kick you to death. Less than half an hour later, the national server players had lost 1/5 of their participation in the battle. Fu Kai could no longer bear it and said to Liang Ting, you are not worthy of being the commander of the human race. After that, he burst into the battlefield with the majesty of a god, and his dark body emitted endless mist, impacting one lizard creature after another. The snowmen also found that many of the little guys who helped them died and were injured in order to cover them, and they developed a strange feeling for the players. Many snowmen risked their own lives and rushed to the front of the players to resist the lizards. This scene made the national server players anxious. Their lives were worthless, but if you died, you would really be gone. Don't do this. The national server players who were originally struggling to support immediately risked their lives and continued to fight side by side with the snowmen. Snowmen fell one by one, and players died one after another. Even Fu Kai was struggling. Although the gods could easily kill higher creatures, they gradually changed from killing with one blow to fighting and retreating when facing tens of thousands of earth lizards. But he couldn't retreat. The bond between him and the human race was too deep. His life was saved by the human race, but now he was powerless to the death of the human race in batches. It was all because the human race's commander was too stubborn. I really want to twist her head off. Suddenly, a huge beam of light fell from the sky and shone into the teleportation array on the camp of the descendants of the Azure Dragon. Fu Kai felt a powerful spatial force and floated into the air vigilantly to watch the camp. This force made him tremble unconsciously. Not only Fu Kai, but also the corpse god sealed in the deepest part of the rift also felt it. To be precise, it was the second time that they felt the spatial power of the gods from above. The corpse god struggled frantically under the electric shocks one after another. Even if there were only whites in their eyes, they couldn't hide their joyful expressions. Did you feel me? Definitely. Find me. Kill me. Kill me. Countless European players emerged from the camp, sensing the battle behind the camp, and marched towards the Rift Valley without the command of Bai William. Fu Kai was stunned for a long time when he saw a large number of densely packed human races appearing in the camp. Where did this group of people come from? He was sure that he had never seen them before. The skin color of this group of people was white, and their outlines were different from those of the human race in Jiushan Zuandu. Could they be one of the branches of the human race? From a distance, the European players saw Liang Ting standing on a high place with a command mark on her head that only players could see. The latter looked back at the European players, who came to support. Although their strength was not as good as that of the national players, at least the number did not disappoint her. She pointed to the battlefield and expressed her meaning. The European players did not say much nonsense and rushed to the battlefield in a standard formation. It's not that European players have never seen Overlord level bosses, but this is the first time that foreign European players have encountered Overlord level bosses. Are the enemies of the national server so perverted now? Although battles in the Sea of Clouds forest are frequent, each battle involves only a few higher level elves or wizards. Is this how the Chinese server fights battles now? Too much, isn't it? Is the gap between the Chinese server and the European server so big? Is the gap between the rich and the poor so obvious? The more European server players think about this, the more they feel psychologically unbalanced. It must be that you Chinese server players occupy most of the resources, so the development is so fast. This time we European servers are participating in the war, and we must collect some interest no matter what. As long as we don't die, we will fight to the death. An inexplicable desire to fight sprouted in the hearts of every European server player. Although Bai William is socially anxious and keen on upgrading, he still knows what he should do as a commander. Fighting on the battlefield with the army is not what a commander should do. Arriving next to Liang Ting looked at Bai William, the commander of the European server. He was of a higher level and worthy of being the commander of the European server. She stretched out her hand and said, "Hello, I'm right." Bai William shook hands with Liang Ting and quickly took them back, saying weakly, "Hello, Vegeta the tank driver." Fukai just descended behind the two of them and heard the two people's incoherent conversation. What the hell? Liangting, you were also the commander of the last battle with the elves? Veggie William nodded, and Liangting praised, yes, your approach at that time was indeed the best solution. If I were the commander at that time, I would have to do the same. Veggie William said modestly, I was just accidentally hit. I was thinking of running away at that time. Liangting thought to herself that he was quite modest, and it seemed that he was not a difficult person to get along with. What she was most afraid of was that this European server commander would start taunting her right away. Humble people tend to be well liked. Liangting asked, what do you think of this battle? Beg William responded weakly, we can't win. Yeah, we can't win. Then how about we retreat? Liangting glanced at Beg William. This guy is a natural commander. He has a very clear understanding of benefits and risks. Once he finds that there is no profit, he will immediately do the most direct, but most profitable thing. It seems that she is still too emotional compared to him. Liangting shook her head, we will not retreat. We Chinese have promised others, and that person begged us to help them with his life. Then let's fight. Our lives are worthless anyway. Liangting smiled and looked at BG William. This person was not as unkind as imagined. He still had a certain personal charm. You are right. Our lives are worthless anyway. We Chinese don't like to owe favors to others. Maybe because of Liangting's kind tone, or for some other reason, BG William was willing to say a few more words to Liangting. This was the first time for him, who had social phobia, to feel this way. Both the European and Chinese servers are human. We can repay your favors together. Liangting looked at BG William deeply. This conversation was also recorded by the resurrected Chinese players and the European players who came to support, and posted on the official website. Players from the two servers left messages. Chinese players, I'm attracted by the personal charm of the European commander. It seems that the people in the European server are also very good. I have decided that it will not be a grievance to find a European as my wife in the future. A perfect song, a post, a content, a 629 book, a forum. The person above is confident that he is at least 1.9 meters tall. I hope you can achieve that in your lifetime. I'm just curious whether the European server officials will collect soul points through cross-server battle transmission. Nonsense. Of course they will. The damn officials are just enjoying exploiting players' soul points, okay? European server players, I didn't expect the commander of the national server to be such a beautiful woman. Very emotional. I like it. A career-oriented woman. I was afraid that the commander of the national server would look down on our European server with a condescending attitude, but I didn't expect him to be so nice. I have to say that the national server has its reasons for growing so fast. Then I can rest assured to leave my back to the national server players. Don't worry, you don't have to leave your back to the national server. Can your small body withstand a slap from the overlord boss? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, The Snowman Tribe and the Descendants of the Azure Dragon. After listening to the entire conversation between the two, Fukai felt mixed emotions. The human race is really a breath of fresh air in the world of creatures. He asked, are they also human creatures? Liangting nodded. Another branch of the human race, considered a brother race. Vegeta William greeted Fukai weakly. Hello, my name is, Vegeta who drives a tank. Fukai, what? Looking at Liangting with a puzzled look, Liangting explained, this is his name. This guy is Fukai. He is a god, a big shot in Jushin Zuandu. Vegeta William looked at Fukai with admiration. So amazing. There are gods in your main city. Fukai was a little annoyed when he saw the two people completely ignoring him. When did they not take gods seriously? You humans are too arrogant. However, the number is indeed very high. Fukai originally thought that the human race only knew the number, but he didn't expect that there were other branches. What a huge race it is. On the battlefield, the European players faced such a large number of Overlord boss for the first time. For a moment, they didn't know how to contain them. The front row had difficulty with the output, but the back row couldn't keep up with the treatment. After all, this kind of melee has seriously exceeded the upper limit of what they can bear. However, none of the European players retreated. In addition to the fact that the battle was rare, they also wanted to prevent the Chinese players from looking down on them. The European players were lazy throughout the last battle with the elves, and this time they must show them that they are not weak chickens. Liangting, you European players can't stand it. The formation is too scattered. BG William, then can you trouble your players to lead us? Let us enter your team and let your captain help command. Liangting's eyes lit up immediately. It makes sense. The old players lead the new strategy. This can not only reduce the casualties of the European players, but also support the Chinese players, who originally suffered too much casualties, and had a small number of people. The look in her eyes, when she looked at BG William changed. This person is so scary. He hit the nail on the head with a method that she had never thought of. Fu Kai was the opposite of Liangting. Although the human race on his side was silly and liked to recklessly play, at least their strength was guaranteed. Your new human race branch was so weak, so should they be so fearless? The commanders of the human race were all ungrateful to the lives of their people! Exclamation mark. Liangting and BG William issued orders in their own command systems respectively. Countless European players on the battlefield disbanded their teams and applied to join the Chinese players' team. This method directly solved the shortcoming that the players on the Chinese and European servers had no tacit understanding. The old players on the Chinese server could directly issue orders to tell the European players in the team what to do, and the European players no longer had to rush around and knew how they should fight. Fu Kai was a little surprised to see that the situation on the field had eased. He underestimated them and ignored the two human commanders and went to help. At this time, the snowmen were already injured, and the players no longer allowed them to participate in the battle. If they continued to fight, they would be exterminated. Many players blocked the snowmen in front of them when they were recovering and prevented them from moving forward. The snowmen looked at the friends blocking their feet and didn't know what they meant at first, but later they found out their thoughts and wanted to get rid of them in anger. Seeing that the snowmen were not convinced, the group of players grabbed the fur on the back of the snowmen and dragged them back in twas and threes. The snowmen who knew the thoughts of these friends were angry and moved. However, seeing countless friends being slaughtered by their old enemies, the snowmen rudely pushed away these friends and forcibly rushed to the front line of the battlefield to attract the hatred of the earth lizards. As long as the snowmen participated in the battle, the earth lizards would always look at them, so this group of friends would be much safer. The players also knew what the snowmen were thinking. The players who had been fighting side by side with the snowmen, especially the Chinese players, were angry and anxious. Why didn't these idiots listen to their advice? They shouted at the snowmen, "Go. If you keep fighting, you will be exterminated. Big fool, listen. Don't go up again. You will die." The snowmen, who had basic intelligence, felt what their friends meant. They pointed their furry fingers at their chests and then at the players. They opened their mouths and uttered two unclear words, "friends," and then laughed in a simple and honest way. Not only the Chinese players, but even the new European players felt the emotions expressed by the snowmen. This was a sign of sacrificing for their friends. Fu Kai watched the negotiations between the human race and the snowmen on the field without saying anything. The attacks on the ground lizards became more frequent. Liangting looked unhappy. Even Beg William felt the emotions of the snowmen and was unwilling to give up. Just when everyone was getting angry, there was another shout from the direction of the camp. Soon, the players saw a group of Qinglang descendants, numbering only tens of thousands, rushing to the battlefield. Every hunter held a weapon made of bones. The players' faces turned ugly. "What the hell are you doing here? What's your business? Are these few people coming here to get killed? The snowmen themselves haven't been dealt with yet, and now there's another group?" Question mark. Liangting hurriedly shouted, "Jiangxing, Yi Jian. Go stop them, and don't let them come." Yi Jian heard it without hesitation, and withdrew from the battlefield to stop them. The Qinglang descendants saw the familiar human race running in the distance and stopped. Yi Jian stepped forward and scolded, "Why are you here? Are you looking for death? Go back and protect your people." Long Kui retorted loudly, the civilians in our camp have been settled. We want to join the war. We can't let you humans sacrifice your lives to help protect our descendants. We can't let the dragon envoy die in vain. Yi Jian was anxious. You know nothing. Longzi went on to say, Brother Jiangxing, we appreciate your kindness, but I can't let you humans take the lead and sacrifice your lives for us. We descendants will not do such a conscienceless thing. Yi Jian said angrily, what does it have to do with you? The human race promised Long Jiu that we will do it to the end. You have so few people, why go up? Are you going to die? Long Kui disagreed and said, it's better to die than to wait for death. No mistake, one poem, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619. Take a look. Tens of thousands of descendants of the Azure Dragon echoed, we will feel uneasy if you die before us. Our civilians have been settled, and our descendants will not be exterminated. This is a matter of our extremely cold region. You humans cannot stop us. So what if you want to die? If you die, can't we die too? Yes. We are not afraid of death, we are allies. That's what you said. Yi Jian was choked and speechless. Liang Ting and Becky William couldn't bear to look over. If they went to stop them, they didn't know how to dissuade them at this time. Fukai changed from fighting to listening to these conversations. Gradually, he understood the so-called so-and-so of the humans. It turned out that they like to be wild, like to die, and like to do so many inexplicable things. It was not meaningless. The Snowman tribe was the most direct. When the players were distracted by the descendants of the Azure Dragon, they took advantage of the players' unpreparedness and rushed towards the ground lizard tribe with a loud roar. The descendants of Azure Dragon ignored Yi Jian's advice and rushed to the battlefield with determination and resoluteness in their eyes. The descendants of Azure Dragon will uphold the will of Azure Dragon and will perish together with the enemy even if they die. By then, the number of players on the field will be 4 million players in the Chinese and European servers, less than 20,000 snowmen, less than 50,000 descendants of Azure Dragon, and 100,000 Earth Lizards. Chapter 97, The 10 Kings of Hell appear. The sky in the extremely cold region was still icy cold, and countless frosts hit every living being present, but the hearts of the human race were warm at this time. The blood of the three races, the snowman, the earth lizard, and the Azure Dragon descendants, dyed a large area of snow near the rift red, and only after the players died, they turned into light spots, and dissipated one by one. The earth lizards have stopped pouring out of the rift. Obviously, this race has all broken through the ground. The snowmen can still fight under the cover of the players, but the descendants have too obvious a gap in strength. Countless hunters have fallen in a pool of blood, and the players have sacrificed the most. Liang Ting and BG William have already predicted the outcome of the battle. The human race will definitely lose. Although they can be resurrected, all the creatures in the extremely cold region, except the earth lizards, will definitely be sacrificed. BG William gradually put away his weak tone. Does the national server have no backup plan? Liang Ting sighed without saying a word, and the meaning was self-evident. Fukai descended to the side of the two. There were at least hundreds of ground lizards who died in his hands, but this number was not enough to turn the tide of the battle. Fukai was already exhausted at this time. Now he had no resentment towards Liang Ting and BG William. Gradually understanding the thoughts of the human race, he began to persuade, the ending is already deemed, retreat. There is no need to waste the human race's combat power here. Liang Ting remained silent. BG William said, since you are here, don't go back. The fare is quite expensive. Liang Ting laughed after hearing this. She knew that BG William was distressed about the soul value required for cross-server battle transmission, but Fukai understood this sentence as a humorous way of looking down on life and death, and preparing to advance and retreat with the snowmen and the descendants of the Azure Dragon. Fukai sighed. Although he still couldn't fully understand the human race, he had to say that this way of treating allies was very charming. Even Fukai, a bloodthirsty race like the Blood Spirits, felt purified. Forget it, let's go crazy with them. Just consider it as repaying your life-saving grace. Anyway, I can't beat them, and just run away. Fukai muttered, and then surged with endless fighting spirit. However, just as he was about to do his best to enter the field, To help the players share the pressure, a breath that made Fukai fear came from the direction of the camp. Fukai turned around to guard against it. Not only Fukai, but also Liangting and BG William felt the breath coming from behind. 10 fast figures rushed directly into the center of the Earth Lizard clan. The huge impact force shook the Earth Lizard clan creatures a few meters away. The sudden situation made the players stop, and the Snowman clan and the descendants of the Azure Dragon also got a chance to breathe. All living beings stared at the huge pit caused by the impact. After the snow dissipated, 10 figures in black robes, with different shapes and expressions, came into view, making the national server players very familiar. The first Hall Qin Guan Wang, the second Hall Chu Jiang Wang, the third Hall Song Di Wang, the fourth Hall Wan Gun, the fifth Hall Yama Wang, the sixth Hall Bai Cheng Wang, the seventh Hall Taishan Wang, the eighth Hall Metropolitan Wang, the ninth Hall Pingdeng Wang, the 10th Hall Zuanlan Wang. The 10 Yama Wangs appeared. Looking at the IDs above the heads of the 10 gods, the national server players were very familiar with them. After the surprise was over, the national server players cheered. The European stock players, the Snowman tribe, the descendants of the Azure Dragon, and Fukai were all puzzled as to why the national server players had this reaction when they saw these 10 gods. I saw our Chinese gods in the game. The 10 Hell Kings fight against aliens. My blood is boiling. It's a dream linkage with the 18 layers of hell. The official design is Yides. I feel like I'm alive. Although they are game NPCs, I feel like I saw the real Hades. The aura formed by the 10 gods standing together made the earth lizards hesitate and stop the pace of fighting, and their claws were constantly stretched out. BG William looked at the 10 gods who suddenly appeared on the field in surprise. Liangting explained excitedly, these are the 10 legendary gods of our national server. In our Chinese legends, they are in charge of the underworld and reincarnation. Although Fukai didn't know where the underworld was, he was relieved to know that it was the gods of the human camp, but he was secretly terrified. A race actually has 10 gods sitting in it. This kind of combat power is not even comparable to the heyday of the Blood Spirit clan. This is already the ceiling of the higher races. The Chinese players kept explaining to the European players around them, with a proud tone, and they looked proud of it. The European players were immediately unbalanced. Why did the Chinese players have such an awesome lineup of NPCs, but the European players had nothing? What was said on the internet was indeed true. The Chinese server was simply the official's favorite. I want to complain. Why does the Chinese server have such a perverted NPC? As expected, the Chinese server is human machine, and the European server is hell. There are only 3 races in our Yunhei forest playing landlord, but the Chinese server is directly cheating. Report. I want to report. Is it too late for me to change servers and practice again? The 10 Hades seemed to have not moved their hands and feet for a long time. The stiff movements made Fukai feel weird. 10 gods stronger than himself stood in front of him alive. He was already a peak god, but these 10 gods in front of him were even more powerful than himself. It was unscientific, but why were their movements so weird? Fukai couldn't be blamed for being suspicious. The 10 kings of hell were responsible for judging in the underworld, and they were basically not needed in fights. The feeling that Fukai felt stronger than him was actually the merits that the 10 kings of hell emanated from themselves. All their actions, including attacks, were blessed with merits. The king of hell in the 5th hall remained silent as he looked at the bloody air around him. The king of Qinguang in the 1st hall yawned, and the king of the wheel of the 10th hall looked around. Unlike these 3 Yamas, the remaining 7 Yamas had slowly gotten used to their bodies that had not moved for a long time. They knew why they were resurrected this time, and they also knew the purpose of their trip. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one 6, one 9, one book, one forum, one look. The 7 Yamas slowly moved forward towards the earth lizards. With each step forward, the earth lizards in front of them subconsciously took a step back, until the earth lizards retreated to the edge of the rift, and could no longer retreat. The earth lizards once again became furious and roared. The 7 Yamas walked towards the earth lizards at the same time with expressionless faces. The raging ghostly voices of ghosts crying and screaming made the players on the field tremble in their hearts. Even Fukai, who was standing on a high place, felt chilled and muttered how much blood debt these people had borne. Unlike the 7 Yamas in front, The 3 Yamas still in the giant pit had different expressions, but they were all motionless, with no intention of stepping forward to help kill the enemy. The national server players couldn't help but step forward to secretly observe these 3 idols. Liangting, as the commander of the human race, asked Fukai to help her jump down the pit, and bowed to the 3 Yamas, 3 senior Yamas. "I'm the commander of the human race this time." Fukai felt unbalanced when he saw Liangting being so humble. "Why are you so rude to me, a god? Question mark. Please explain it." Players don't know the true details of the Yamas and think they are game NPCs, but the Yamas know the actual situation of the players through the black and white of their resurrections. They are a group of living people, although they are just souls. The 3 Yamas smiled at Liangting, and Liangting asked curiously, "Why don't the 3 seniors go forward to resist the enemy together?" The King Guang of the first hall yawned and looked like he hadn't woken up yet. "I'm responsible for distinguishing good from evil, and I'm not good at fighting." The King of the 5th hall touched his beard. "I'm soft-hearted and can't do it." The King of the 10th hall was expressionless. "I'm only responsible for reincarnation, and the rest is not my business." Liangting. Fukai, are all the gods of the human race so temperamental? I received a notice that I will go to the militia camp for a week of training starting on the 9th. I will stay at home to write these days. I hope I can save enough manuscripts for a week. Chapter 98, A Pitiful Victory. Before, Fukai could only kill 100 higher creatures while ensuring his own safety. However, the difference in strength between gods and higher creatures is not a simple math problem, not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. 7 Yan Lewis with the ceiling strength of gods stood in a row to face the thousands of earth lizard creatures in front of them, hitting them with palms, punching them, or kicking them with whips. With the blessing of merit, they had a tendency to kill one child at a time. At this time, the official forum of the national server was broadcasting this highlight moment of Yan Luo. Many players who did not participate in the battle and low-level players who knew themselves chose to participate in the battle and teleport to the front line. They did not want to fight in the battle, but to see the 10 kings of hell who were deeply rooted in the hearts of the Chinese legend. However, after arriving, they saw the snow-white environment and the dense racial melee, and their blood was immediately used in their hearts. Since they were here, why not go up and have some fun? Fukai also rushed to the front at this time. He had to go up. Since the 10 gods appeared, they had never looked at him straight in the eye, as if they didn't take him seriously. This made the always arrogant Fukai feel dissatisfied. "Although the 10 of you are stronger than me, don't underestimate a god." The pressure on the Snowman tribe and the descendants of the Azure Dragon dropped sharply because of the arrival of these 10 gods. The players couldn't persuade the Snowman tribe. After all, the intelligence of these guys was about the same as that of Huskers. They asked the descendants of the Azure Dragon to keep an eye on them and not let them go up again. The descendants now have self-knowledge. Since the human race has so many gods to reinforce, they don't have to make too many sacrifices. After all, nearly half of their side has been injured or killed. 7 Yamas plus Fukai, 8 gods have stabilized the pressure in the front row. The 3 Yamas in the back serve as cover to prevent accidents. Next is the home court of the players. The ideas that they didn't dare to think of before are now emerging one after another. "You abused us so badly before, now it's time to collect interest. I won't go a-flying to eat unless I squeeze the honor value out of you." The players were abused for a whole afternoon, but now they have turned from weaklings to phoenixes in an instant. The battle lasted from 3 PM to 9 PM. The earth lizards were beaten to pieces. Although they were not exterminated, they were gone. The remaining low-level lizards chose to retreat back to the Rift Valley. The players looked at the large Rift Valley stained with blood and felt very emotional. The battle was won, but at the cost of the lives of countless snowmen and descendants of the Azure Dragon. After experiencing this battle, the European server players have completely turned over. A large amount of honor points have given them the confidence to fight against the elves and wizards. Of course, this is when the other side did not send out gods. After all, there is no god in the European server now. The European servers are returning to leave the extremely cold area one after another. They want to stay and explore, but the ice attribute buff is only 2 hours long, which is not enough time to leave the extremely cold area. The 10 kings of hell consumed half of their merits after this battle and needed to return to the underworld to slowly recuperate. They did not negotiate too much with the players. Heavy Bay had told them not to say too much. The descendants of the Azure Dragon returned to the various patterns to unlock the beams. There were still many civilians waiting in the camp. Only half of the remaining hunters said hello to Liangting and Yi Jian and left. Long Kui survived the battle, but Long Zi died in the battle. They suffered heavy casualties this time. After this battle, the Snowman tribe developed a deep friendship with the human race, and their number fell to less than 20,000. However, because the Earth Lizard tribe had returned to the Rift Valley, the human race had completely established a foothold in the extremely cold region. With the extremely cold region blessed by the Nine Heavens' mysterious capital, the Snowman is no longer a threat in this area and can live and recuperate in peace. After a whole day of battles, most of the players in the national server chose to return to Jiushan Zuandu. As a god, Fukai was not afraid of the frost in the extremely cold region. Looking at the retreating players, Fukai had doubts at this time. Why did the human race still have so many casualties? When they came, there were nearly 6 million, and when they left, there were more than 4 million. In the middle of the battle, more than 5 million people died? What about the price difference? Did the middlemen make money? If there is no problem with my perception, then there is something fishy about the human race. Fukai looked in the direction of the human race teleportation array in the Qinglang descendants camp. After this battle, Fukai felt that he had returned this favor. Although he failed to reverse the situation, he also tried his best. If he left, they would not say anything. He turned his head and looked in the direction of the other side of the weathered continent in silence. Where should he go? Liangting, who was saying goodbye to BG William, saw Fukai floating in the air in a daze and shouted loudly, "Brother Fukai, what are you doing? Go home." Fukai was stunned for a long time when he heard Liangting's words. Go home? I have a home? Looking down at Liangting with a sincere smile and BG William who was shy beside him, he sighed and replied, I know. The Earth Lizards were powerless to save the situation, and the players and the descendants of the Azure Dragon no longer focused on the Great Rift Valley that had experienced a tragic war. This landmark Rift Valley in the extremely cold region was silent except for the sound of frost invasion, and only a huge dragon-shaped skeleton stood there. In the deepest part of the Great Rift Valley, lightning whipped the old man of the Corpse Clan, but he didn't know the pain and screamed madly, "Come back! Come back! Come back and kill me! Kill me! Don't leave!" One roar after another echoed throughout the underground. He had released a lot of evil spirits before, and he didn't have more energy to support him in intimidating the Earth Lizards in a short time. The players killed almost all the Earth Lizards, and there was a lot of space in the Rift Valley to stay away from this crazy life. The old man tried his best to pull his right hand, ignoring the pain of being whipped, and trying to tear open the wrist of his left hand that was entangled by the vine. However, the harder he pulled, the stronger the force of the beating became. Just when it was about to touch his left wrist, the vine entangled his right hand turned into a fixed lightning, and burned his right hand. The severe pain and numbness made the old man lose all his strength. Come back. I beg you. Come back and kill me. King Niu. I know I was wrong. Please let me out. I will convert to your Taoism. I will no longer kill living things. Please let me out. King Niu. I will not let you go. One day I will definitely eat up all your flesh and blood. I will turn you into ashes. Kill me. King Niu. How long are you going to trap me? Brother. Where are you? Come and save me. No mistakes in one post, one content, one book, one forum. On the surface of the extremely cold Rift Valley, the blood of countless snowmen, descendants of Azure Dragons, and Earth Lizards dyed the entire snow red. The amount of blood lost was so great that even the cold snow was not enough to freeze it. Countless blood slowly flowed together from everywhere, slowly flowing from high places to the edge of the Rift Valley. A large amount of blood flowed down the Rift Valley like a small waterfall. Hundreds of Earth Lizards rushed to suck this blood, but the amount of blood was too much, and a small part of the blood still flowed to the deepest part of the Rift Valley. Chapter 99 Dinner. Ever since the Black and White Company announced its official cooperation with the Southern Military Department, the industry was in an uproar. Bai Bing also received the official code book today. Bai Bing asked Black and White to decipher it and submit it back. The Southern Military Department was very concerned about this first innovative exercise method. After Bai Bing submitted the data, Zhang Yi revealed to Bai Bing, if this exercise satisfies the higher-ups, as long as there are no mistakes in the middle, then the Chinese military department below may urgently contact Bai Bing for business. Since the two units announced their cooperation, the pressure faced by the Black and White company has almost dropped sharply. Game companies in China dare not reach out to Planet anymore. The three people in Pengcheng can finally free out their hands to develop overseas business. During this period, Bai Bing received 3 calls from Yang Yifei inviting him to dinner at his home, but Bai Bing declined. Bai Bing said that it was okay for her to have dinner with Yang Yifei, but it was not necessary to go to his house. Bai Bing was not particularly willing to have a close relationship with Yang Yifei's father. The last acquisition of the European Talisman Studio was originally a win-win result, but Bai Bing did too well, and the number of registered users of the European server far exceeded the expectations of Yang Jianmin and Liang Xin. Yang Jianmin didn't care. After all, he was just a middleman, but Bai Bing heard some rumors about Liang's group, and resented Yang Jianmin and Liang Xin, which made Yang Jianmin, who was originally helping, feel like a nobody. Now that the Black and White company has reached a cooperation agreement with the government, Yang Jianmin invited him to his home for dinner, which clearly showed his intention to make a close friend with Bai Bing. Bai Bing's refusal was believed to be known to Yang Yifei and Yang Jianmin. As long as he made friends with your son, it would be equivalent to making friends with you as a father, and there would be fewer rumors in the middle. After learning Bai Bing's original words, Yang Jianmin smiled and said to Yang Yifei, Bai Bing is a person who can be deeply befriended. He has a long-term vision and is not a person who focuses on immediate interests. He is a very good junior. Yang Yifei was in a good mood when he heard his father's affirmation of his friendships and joked with Yang Jianmin, old man, this is the first time I hear you praise my friends so much. Yang Jianmin adjusted his reading glasses and continued to read the newspaper, just telling the truth. Don't you know why your so-called friends approached you before? Yang Yifei smiled. Okay, then I'll find time to contact Bai Bing more. Yang Jianmin, I really didn't expect that Bai Bing got the order from the Southern military without making any noise. I thought they would look for China's top internet companies. Yang Yifei had something to say. Old man, don't underestimate the young people nowadays. This is the world of young people. Yang Jianmin glanced at his son and didn't respond. Bai Bing went to pick up Lin Lin from get off work today. At the elevator entrance of the underground parking lot, she saw Huang Yiwei, Lin Lin and a woman with a good figure and delicate face coming out of the elevator together. Lin Lin and Huang Yiwei saw Bai Bing standing next to the car and walked over. Bai Bing reached out and took Lin Lin's hand, then asked Huang Yiwei, how did you two come out together? Huang Yiwei continued, I made an appointment with Ming Fei to have dinner together, and when I saw your girlfriend, we came down together. Come, let me introduce you. This is the president of Ming Fei Cosmetics Co Limited, Ming Fei, your girlfriend's immediate superior, and this is my college roommate and my boss, Bai Bing. Huang Yiwei introduced the two. Ming Fei knew about Huang Yiwei's company, but she never expected that the boyfriend of her own employee would be the president of the famous Black and White company in Yangcheng, and he was so young. Bai Bing stretched out her hand and said with a smile, hello, Miss Ming. Ming Fei politely shook Bai Bing's hand and said with a smile, President Bai, I've heard of you for a long time. I didn't expect that the family situation of our employees is hidden so well. It seems that my intelligence work is not very good. Bai Bing glanced at the shy Lin Lin and joked, I didn't want to be too ostentatious, so I asked Lin Lin to keep it a secret. In the future, I will have to trouble Miss Ming to beat her more severely, to let her know the dangers of society. Lin Lin pinched Bai Bing secretly, and Huang Yiwei said, since we meet, let's have dinner together. I have an appointment at the restaurant. Do you have anything to do? Ming Fei, yes, Mr. Bai, we are also neighbors. Since we have the chance today, let's have dinner together. Ming Fei obviously didn't want to miss Bai Bing's all-powerful connections. Lin Lin looked at Bai Bing, who nodded and agreed with a smile. Sure, you don't have to give face to Mr. Huang, but you still have to give face to your girlfriend's boss. Huang Yue joked back, then I'll go, and you three can eat. Bai Bing, okay, do you want me to call a taxi for you? The two of them chatted for a few words and set off. Lin took Bai Bing's car, while Huang Yue drove Mingfei. The restaurant Huang Yue booked was nearby. After Bai Bing sat down and looked at the menu with Lin, they arrived soon. Bai Bing handed the menu to Huang Yue and said, we too have taken a look. You take a look at what to eat? Huang Yue directly put the menu on the table and ordered a few dishes with the staff and asked Bai Bing to continue ordering. Lin also added a few dishes she had chosen. Bai Bing looked at Huang Yue and Huang Yue also looked at Bai Bing. The two habitually communicated with their eyes. Bai Bing, something is going on. Are you two together? Huang Yue, trying hard. Bai Bing, how long are you going to play this time? Huang Yue, I'm serious this time. Bai Bing, don't get too excited, my girlfriend is still in her hands. Huang Yue, I said I was serious, you don't understand me, do you? Bai Bing, remember to take safety measures, don't suddenly tell me you want to be a father. Huang Yue, looking at the two people winking at each other, Mingfei felt that Bai Bing and Huang Yue didn't look like the top executives of the Black and White company at all, but like two childish big kids. Lin was already used to the way the four people in Bai Bing's dormitory got along, so she was not surprised. Huang Yue didn't want to make too much eye contact with Bai Bing, as it would make him look insecure in front of Mingfei, so he asked Lin, should I call you by your name, or by your boss's wife? Lin replied embarrassedly, just call me by my name. Mingfei gossiped, how long have you been dating? Lin was inevitably a little reserved when having dinner with her boss. Not long. Bai Bing and I have been together for a short time before I went to the interview at Sister Fei's company. Mingfei smiled and said, don't be so nervous. You don't have to treat me as your boss during non-working hours. Huang Yue asked Bai Bing, it's almost the spring festival, what are you going to do? Bai Bing, take Lin back to my hometown. My grandparents want to see her. Mingfei looked at Bai Bing in surprise. They were dating for such a short time, and she was already meeting his parents? Seriously? Real love? Lin blushed, and did not refute. Huang Yue said, oh, are grandparents in good health? Bai Bing smiled and said, stop slandering me in front of them, they should be in better health. Lin looked at Huang Yue in confusion. Bai Bing explained, last year, I went back to my hometown for the spring festival and video chatted with this guy. My grandparents were watching TV next to them. He greeted and chatted with my grandparents in the video, and then slandered me, saying that I was always irresponsible to other girls, that I made people cry, and that I didn't know how to comfort them. Anyway, it was just a rumor. That night I faced ideological education from my two elders. Mingfei and Lin listened to the two peoples bickering with a smile. Mingfei sighed. They were roommates, friends, and they founded a company together. They still have such a good relationship. This kind of friendship is really enviable. It would be great if there was such a character around her. Lin's mind is much simpler. People who have a good relationship with Bai Bing will naturally have a good impression of him. As long as Bai Bing is happy, that's enough. Huang Yue asked, when are you going back? Bai Bing, earlier, this year is special, you know, Miss Ming, I have to take Lin away early, I'm asking for leave first. Mingfei smiled and said, go ahead, I'll approve the leave. Huang Yue, don't call me Miss Ming, you don't have to be so polite. Bai Bing, thank you, sister-in-law, you are so generous, you don't have to call me Mr. Bai, just call me Lao Si, I'm the fourth in our dormitory. Lin, Mingfei. Huang Yue praised with his eyes, well done. Bai Bing winked, I understand, we are following each other. Chapter 100 Brothers, thanks. The whole dinner went quite happily, with Bai Bing and Huang Yi adjusting the atmosphere for the two. Mingfei also put aside her politeness, and Lin also got closer to Mingfei, who was her boss. When Bai Bing returned home in the evening, he opened a bottle of wine and sat on the balcony in a daze. In addition to bringing Lin home during the spring festival this year, there was another major event, that is, Bai Bing's father was released from prison. Grandma told Bai Bing that he will be released at 2 PM on New Year's Eve. The exact time was originally the third day of the new year, but because Bai Bing's father surrendered and made meritorious contributions and behaved well in prison, the early parole he applied for was approved, which made grandparents very happy. This year, they can have a reunion dinner with their son and grandson, and their grandson also brought his girlfriend home. It has been many years since I haven't seen my father. Since Bai Bing's father went to prison, the father and son have not met each other. The main reason is that grandparents don't let Bai Bing go to visit him. Grandparents said that he will be released soon. There is no need to see him, and let him study with peace of mind and not affect his studies. At this time, the doorbell rang. Bai Bing opened the door and found that her 3 roommates had come. Bai Bing was curious. Why are you 3 here? The 3 of them changed into slippers and walked into the house. Peng Cheng said, the second brother said that he noticed something was wrong with you when he had dinner with you tonight, so he asked us to come and see you. Bai Bing looked at Wang Yiwei, who said, you seemed to be hesitant to talk while eating, and you thought I couldn't tell. Let me tell you, instead of staying on the balcony drinking by yourself, you might as well drink with us. Wang Yinglang walked into the house and put a big bag of things on the dining table. I bought barbecue and crayfish. Bai Bing looked at the 3 roommates in front of him. He really felt like a worm in his stomach. He really had no privacy at all. Even his girlfriend was not as sensitive as them. Taking out 3 wine glasses from the wine cabinet and placing them on the table, Huang Yiwei said, why drink red wine with a barbecue? Let me go buy some beer with you. Bai Bing put the wine glasses back and went out with Huang Yiwei. There was a small store inside Bai Bing's community. The 2 of them carried 2 boxes of beer and just walked out of the small store when they saw Lin Lin coming back from outside with 2 express deliveries. Huang Yiwei was about to call Bai Bing to stop him. Don't shout. Don't let her see us. Huang Yiwei was stunned for a while before he reacted and hid behind a big tree next to him with Bai Bing. Bai Bing laughed and scolded, you idiot. If my girlfriend sees us and asks, she will definitely come over when she knows we are drinking and having supper at home. What the hell are you talking about with the 4 of us? Huang Yiwei retorted, what the hell are you yelling about? Didn't I expect that? Bai Bing stuck his head out and saw that Lin Lin was gone and said, okay, she's gone. Let's go too. Huang Yiwei, wait a minute, she's waiting for the elevator. If we go over now, won't we be caught red-handed? Bai Bing glanced at them and said sarcastically, how come you are so smart now? Huang Yiwei said huh and ignored them. The old man and woman who were exercising next to them and sitting under the tree laughed when they heard what the 2 young people said. It's great to be young, the best age. Bai Bing and Huang Yiwei waited for a while and then carried 2 boxes of beer home. As soon as they entered the door, Wang Yinglang told Bai Bing, just now your girlfriend came over and saw us and asked where you were going. Bai Bing and Huang Yiwei looked at each other and Huang Yiwei asked, then how do you answer? Wang Yinglang said as a matter of course, what else can I answer? Tell the truth. Just say that you went to buy beer. It's not something shameful. Bai Bing, Huang Yiwei, Wang Yinglang, what's wrong? Huang Yiwei, nothing. I just think you're very smart. After that, he changed his shoes and went into the house. Bai Bing asked, she's not angry, is she? Wang Yinglang, not really. She just told me not to let you drink too much. Bai Bing sighed, what a stupid teammate. Took out his phone and sent a message to Lin Lin, why don't you wait for me to go home? I can't let go of you guys at your party. You should drink less. You still have to take me to work tomorrow. Bai Bing, yes, sir. The floor of the balcony was piled with grilled skewers, and everyone had a large plate of crayfish in front of them. Peng Cheng slumped on the floor of the balcony, leaning against the wall, raised the beer can in his hand and said, fourth brother, I'm celebrating with you that your father is coming out. Huang Yiwei and Wang Yinglang also raised theirs. Bai Bing clinked glasses with the 3 of them, thanked them, and took a big sip. When was the last time we drank like this? A long time ago, when we were in college. After we graduated and started our own business, we were fine. At that time, we could even skip meals, just to save money for drinking. We were crazy back then. 2 loaves of bread lasted 4 people a whole day. It's a miracle that we are still alive now. We should thank the second brother's girlfriend at the time for cooking and sending meals to us in her dormitory every day, otherwise we would have starved to death. Now we don't have to worry too much about drinking. We can eat whatever we want, and there's no such beautiful scenery to enjoy. The place where we drank was at the entrance of the school canteen. A security guard came to chase us away every half an hour. Every time we had to give him a cigarette and say something nice before sending him away. Later we moved to the stairs. There were fewer people there and no security guards. Do you still remember the deputy monitor of our class? I remember, the one who played basketball. He laughed at the fourth brother for not being able to play basketball, and then he was blocked by the fourth brother. I laughed at him for 2 weeks at that time. Later, the eldest brother lied to him that he was going to drop out of school to join the army, and he actually believed it and kept crying while hugging the eldest brother. Then he was shocked to find the eldest brother sitting in the first row of the classroom during class the next day. The eldest brother's tricks are not just these. Do you know how he got his girlfriend in college? I beg you not to tell me. Can I drink a bottle? It's been so long. What are you afraid of, big brother? Tell me. Second brother. The big brother saw the counselor and a girl eating in the cafeteria, and then he went over to chat with the counselor, took out his mobile phone, and handed it under the table to ask for the contact information. The big brother is so brave. I can't tell. The third brother is a classic. When he was in college, he liked a girl. On Christmas Eve, we asked him to give an apple to the girl to express his love. He asked me why he gave it to him. Of course he would eat it himself. At that time, I knew he would be single for the rest of his life. Do you think the most beautiful girl in our class is married now? Probably not. Didn't she say that many men were chasing her? She said that her career was more important, and she was not in a hurry to get married. When I was in kindergarten, I said that I would not play with girls when I grew up. I remember you chased her at that time. Yes, but she said I couldn't afford her expenses, so she refused. If she knew about your family business, she would regret it now. Now she knows that I'm an executive of a company. She invited me to dinner when she came to Guangzhou before. Did you go? Yes, I drove a 911 there. I ate for 2 hours and felt like I was eating grass. There was no meat at all, and it was very expensive. When I paid the bill, I said I had something to do at the company and asked her to take a taxi home by herself. Where did you get the 911? I rented it. Brothers, thanks, let's have one. You are being polite to us from a distance. Go to hell. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.